Hello everyone and welcome to Back Issues. I'm Tiffany.
I'm Ethan.
I'm Ben.
And today we're going to be talking about yet another Black Label book.
Oh.
Because I like them.
Yeah.
They're solid.
I didn't know there were this many Black Label books.
There are a lot.
I thought they stopped, but I guess.
I mean, they kind of slowed down as of late, but there are many a Black Label book, and they do cover quite a gamut of topics, although a lot of them do focus on Batman. There's a reason for that. I mean, Batman sells, but also a lot of folk want to write it.
Yeah.
They want to write about those characters.
There's also a lot of stuff you can write about, I guess.
It's true. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you can write about a lot of the characters. It's just you got to find someone who's
people actually buy stuff that.
Well,
features
yeah. I
Batman
mean,
characters.
there was a Question Black Label book that came out.
Oh.
About the question.
Yes.
Okay. Not a questionable Black Label book.
It's just a questionable book. I don't know. Let's get into it. Today we're going to be talking about Harleen.
Okay. I assume a Harley Quinn book?
Yes, it's a Harley Quinn book.
That makes sense.
Yeah, it's written and drawn by Stjepan Šejić, who is a Croatian creator. You actually may know their work if you were on DeviantArt ever. He was a prolific DeviantArt artist. He created Sunspot. It's a well-known comic that covers relationships and fetishes and...
Oh, yeah.
You said the magic word.
he also created Death Vigil.
I know, Death Vigil.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
Oh, I wasn't sure. That was wait,
Death
is he
Vigil,
trying to...
yeah.
He's trying to hide?
Yeah. No, Death Vigil. I'm
Cover
all
it
about
up.
the Death.
No, I read Death Vigil.
Okay, there you go. Šejić is known for his ability to write books about relationships, in my opinion. I think that's some of his strongest works, and to really delve into them. When he is, of course, the writer and the artist for books, you get a really great melding of his word bubbles and the reactions from the characters who are either saying them or reacting to said word bubbles. For him, having a script and having that language is super important when he's crafting the art for a book, because he's just you're not going to be able to get to know the characters without that. So we get a lot of that in here. There's a lot of expressive art in here. Before we actually crack open the book and kind of just start talking about it, I do want to I'm going to take the outer casing off this because I don't want anything to happen to it, but I also want to show off how incredible this hardcover edition of this book was when it came out, and still is. It comes with a acetate, I guess, covering on it. That's probably the wrong word. Whatevs. What's amazing about it is when you take it off, and you're encouraged to take it off.
No, it's totally different.
Oh.
Neat.
That's good.
Yeah.
It's kind of spectacular, and it really gives you a solid idea of what you're going to be getting into in this book.
I like that it gives purpose to the dust jacket.
It absolutely does, and they honestly did that a lot too. When we covered Batman Damned, remember they had that vellum sort of covering on it. They treat these really well, the Black Label books, which is why I just want more and more from them. I guess something you should know about Šejić before we kind of jump into this is. He grew up in Croatia, where he didn't have a lot of exposure or accessibility to comics, especially Batman comics. I think he had Hush, probably some other stuff as well. But what he did have was the cartoons. And so I would want to say to those who are, maybe they're obviously going to be a fan of Batman. Most folk have picked up a Batman comic in their lives, but maybe not everyone has gone after reading a Harley book. If you are familiar with Harley from the animated series, if you're familiar with the story of Mad Love, you can jump right into this, because he's basically saying that's Harley's origin story. I'm not going to say I can do it better. I'm not going to say that I can rewrite it. What I am going to do is elaborate on that story.
Okay.
And so that's what we get here. And so I think it's a fabulous introduction to this character and his take on this character. You know Harley, yeah, right? You
Approximately. The rough outlines.
She's
she's a 1200cc cruiser. You hop on the back. She's fuel injected. She caters to a dying age of riders.
We named the book Harleen.
Yeah,
we
so
didn't
it's
name it
about
Harley.
the early.
All right.
Yeah.
So this is her, the transition.
Before she
Yeah.
turns, and I guess shortly after.
Yeah, which
like that.
I think is pretty daring for them to do. It's a lot easier to name this book Harley. It's a lot easier to name it Harley Quinn, because it's it's going to sell. I mean, you put Harleen on the cover, I don't know. People may not make that jump.
People might not be searching for that.
Exactly. But that's what this is about, and that's what he went for. Harleen is going to start out in like the months leading up to her inevitable transition to becoming Harley Quinn. We will cover a little bit of the earlier stuff, but not much. We're not going to get her childhood. We're not going to get her relationship with like her family or anything like that. We're just going to really delve into some of her career being a psychologist and a little bit of like her college years.
Okay.
A little bit.
Woo, college!
Yeah! Getting wasted!
Studying for midterms!
Oh, yeah.
Also that, I guess.
I now realize the
know.
outfit. Very nice choice.
Thank you. So we open the book up with, like, it's Harley is going to be narrating this. And I say Harley because that's what the speech bubbles indicate to you. Like,
Oh, okay.
They give us the diamonds. It's in a red color. Harley's telling us her story.
So she's like looking back. So this is like,
The whole book is her commentating on her, like, origin story.
right.
Is this
And,
a
like,
let's go
explain
back,
to-
let's go back?
We do have some let's go backs, but she never says let's go back.
Okay.
Like, she's just like, let's jump into it.
Okay.
We start off actually in a dream. She's like, I have this, like, nightmare.
I would hope so.
She's wandering along this seemingly endless road, and she sees all these bats around her, and she knows that like something is wrong and something is going to die, or someone is going to die. And so she races after the bats and finds at the end of the road where the sidewalk ends, if you will.
Oh, thanks. Nice little nod there.
Yeah, that's right. Shel Silverstein, not a fan of the show. I think he's dead.
I'm pretty sure
he's
he is.
dead.
Shell was a big part of my growing up.
Yeah. She sees a figure crouched down as like these bats are swirling around them, seemingly, going to attack.
Figure
right?
with green hair.
Yeah, it's like
Purple pants.
surprising no one. It's the Joker. And a huge...
Do we get a pre-Joker? So she's Harleen. Is he Joke? Jack?
What do you got? We'll get more into origins at one point in the story, because there's kind of a fun little moment in this that, like, I was rereading it, and I was like, that's I see what you're doing here. Anyway, big bat creature shows up. Harley makes this, observation that, like, if a swarm of crows is called a murder, then a swarm of bats must be called a feast. And I was like, that's kind of cool. And scary.
Yeah, that is scary.
She stands in the way of the giant bat creature, brandishing the Batman logo on his chest, and is like, leave him alone. He's like, you can't save him. He's beyond help. And she's like, no, I can't. I can do it. And so he leaves, and he's like, then it's on you.
Interesting.
And so, like, she, like, helps the Joker up. He's like, you should have run. And she's like, I'm your doctor. I'm here to help. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, I got this.
So
And
right away, we're seeing Batman cast from her perspective as the villain.
Yep.
And the Joker
a monstrous
as the
shadow.
victim.
Yes. Now, this is a dream that seemingly is taking place at like a later point in the story, but we're going to kick it off here because it's visually stunning and really kind of sets up Harley's journey in a way. She looks at the Joker. His face isn't monstrous. He smiles, and she smiles back. He's like a beast, and all she has to do is love him, and he'll be fixed, and it's awesome. But like, that's not what this is. That's not what her story is.
No.
Okay.
And,
Good.
And she's like, that's not what happened. Shayak would inevitably
Ooh.
end up like.
It looks like a Twi'lek.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's just the nature of the way that the costume is drawn, because he lengthened the like palms of it. The road to hell is paved with good intentions, and on that road I saw a pale man, and he smiled at me. So, anyway, she has this moment where like she talks about the idea that he took her on the road to hell, and as all journeys like that often start,
They're paved with good intentions.
Exactly.
Oh, sweet. I got it.
Nailed it.
You hit that layup.
All right.
Shayak would also say that, like, when he was writing this story, he has this idea that it's like kind of Beauty and the Beast, but twisted. The idea, of course, with Beauty and the Beast that, like, Beauty reaches her hand out to help the Beast and inevitably does help him, but in this, the Beast pulls her into the darkness where she grows her own fangs.
Oh, I thought he was going to be the Beauty and she's the Beast.
We start the actual story with her conducting an interview. And the interview is with a gentleman who was in the military, and he goes over, like, his experience on tour. So it's supposed to be 6 months, ended up being 3 years. He's paired up with this buddy of his. They have like a code where it's like, we don't kill women or children. just dudes. That's it, right? But like the fact is, like, we had the technological advantage, and because of that, they turned to guerrilla warfare, which stretched this out like further and made it hard on everyone. Where it's like you didn't know where anyone was. Like, you know, under every rock, under every, like, behind every door, like there was someone ready to kill us.
Yeah.
His friend like sees this girl and, like, you know, he's like encouraging him. He's like, go over. Like, how often are you going to have an opportunity to have sex in this scenario here?
In a war.
Right? And so he does go over there, and then it turns out this chick has a razor blade and she slices his throat from ear to ear.
Damn.
Yikes.
And that was when he broke his code.
Oh, okay.
And he blew her away.
Yeah.
And it kind of didn't stop there. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh. So, like, he went down a rabbit hole.
He did the Batman thing. He killed one person.
yeah.
He had to kill everyone.
Yeah. He's like, because the fact is, it's like it was their women and children. They were with these people. And so they had to be stopped as well. She then takes that information and translates it into a, like, hypothesis that she has that she's seeking to get funding for. So she presents it at this symposium, in which she explains to them that while she was conducting this interview, one of the three gentlemen that she has on screen said that empathy is a liability. So, like, in a war zone, empathy is a liability. Acknowledging the humanity of your enemy will cause you to hesitate. It's a courtesy your opponent may not grant you in return. So she takes that and she translates that into the idea that, like, what if, like, the fight or flight response that a person has, which overrides your natural reaction to, like, process empathy and dampens the chemistry that would cause that, were to be overused, essentially. Like, what if you were in such a stressful situation where you were constantly in a fight or flight scenario? Would that cause your brain to end up having, like, an autoimmune disease?
Where, like, if you ever start to feel any empathy, it will, like,
It's like fighting
stop
it?
itself. It'll be like, oh, no empathy. That's dangerous.
Yeah.
It's like you will, like, lose that ability.
Well, yes, that you completely lose the idea to have empathy, and that, like, in order to protect itself, it will destroy itself.
Right.
Because it's like you need empathy to get through life and live in our society.
Right.
But in war zones where something like that can kill you,
Right.
your brain would rather kill that in a fight for survival?
Yeah, but she's saying that she's like, let's take that and then translate it into trying to diagnose people who have antisocial behaviors. If we look at folk who are in a constant arena of stress, can we then try to pinpoint what's going on in the brain that might be stopping empathy from occurring?
Right.
And she's like, we can't really, like, study that right now in a combat scenario because that's not safe. However, we live in Gotham.
Which is pretty similar.
So, like, you
I feel
know,
like Gotham's kind of a combat state as well.
right?
Yeah,
But,
that
like,
seems to be what she's saying.
there's an increased amount of, like, severe crime. So, like, we should study that. And I could go and interview inmates at Arkham Asylum, inmates at Blackgate, and the cops to try to find ideal candidates to then do brain scans on.
Right. And see if we could find, like, physically
Yeah.
where this is occurring in the brain.
Right,
like
and if
the
there
part of
is
the brain.
actually, like, if the brain is actually suffering from, like, an autoimmune disease, and how could we stop that?
Right. Like, if we could find the spot, maybe we can, like, treat it.
Yeah.
Right.
Naturally, as she's explaining this, people seem initially sort of interested, and then immediately start, like, checking wristwatches, whispering to
Yeah.
other people. Folk leave.
Oh.
And so, like, as she's doing this, she starts, like, being like,
Sorry, it's not a sexy experiment. I don't care.
I can't sell a pharmaceutical with this.
Right.
I'm Devlin McGregor.
Well, maybe someday you can.
Right?
If you would fund me.
Yeah. So we catch her in a bar later on with one of her like colleagues, and essentially she's like, you know, my career has imploded. She's like, how did yours go? And her friend Chandra is like, I'm proposing pharmaceutical solutions to treat forms of depression, so I'm funded.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just another pill.
Yeah.
Take it.
Yeah.
So she's like, they want, like, the sexy hook. You know, you came in with, like, charts and information. She's like, what's this to do? You got, like, a puppet show? She's like, with all the trimmings, essentially.
I was thinking it was just like, no, you want girls in bikinis with platters of pills. Be like, look at what we can give you.
Ta-da! No, she's like,
They're just Tic Tacs, but eventually these will be actual drugs.
well, Harleen's like, I went to them like they were like educated and intelligent, and I
Right.
presented my case to them, and I thought they could see the merit of that. And she's like, that's not what they're looking for. Chandra's like, that's not it.
They want to know how to make money.
Yeah, exactly.
How can we monetize this?
So then Chandra then explains to her that she's like, listen, like your horoscope says it's a great time for you.
Oh, does it?
Oh.
She's like,
Okay.
which is so. It's really funny because Harley's like, she's such an intelligent woman, and like
Yeah.
she completely believes in that.
Yeah. You just betrayed everything about your education.
Yeah. What's great is she has one great line though, because obviously in these zodiological like symbols, Cancer is one of them, and she's like, "It's a great week for Cancer." Harley's like, "That's
Don't say that.
that's bad. Don't, no,
Don't say that out loud.
That's not a good thing to say."
Not like that. Rephrase it.
She does say that she's like, honestly though, when I think back on it, I wonder if there wasn't something to what she said about
That was a great week
Maybe
for
I-
Cancer.
right, or that like that the star. She like say that the stars are watching over her, but like the way that things align in her life to get her to where she ends up, she's like, it's like there was something to that, but maybe not the way she thought. On her way home, there is an explosion. It's Gotham, so it happens, and the Joker rolls up with some
Okay.
goons.
Oh.
And is like, cool, all right, well, we were just part of a weapons deal. Obviously, I wasn't paying for anything, so I just took everything. So let's wrap it up and, pack it up, boys. We're out of here. He immediately sees Harleen on the street.
I like the concept of his goons wearing the masks. It is very reminiscent, however, of Dark Knight.
Yeah.
With the
But,
masks, yeah.
This guy looks like Ronald McDonald.
Yeah, like they have the mouths open so they can talk. Not that guy, but like that guy in the back, he was just painted.
Yeah.
And he's probably upset. Like, you guys weren't gonna. You said we were gonna paint our faces, guys.
I assume it's like, we only ordered 3 masks.
Well, I'm not just gonna be Bill.
We didn't have you when we ordered them, all right? They were on back order for a while.
I'm gonna be like the boss. I'm gonna have the makeup.
Yeah, go for it.
You're gonna die.
Well, remember, his isn't makeup. It's
that's his face,
That's
yeah.
that's just his face. That's just what he looks like. Joker immediately like raises his revolver to her, and we get this really cool image of like this larger image of him pointing the gun at her, clearly going to kill her, and her remembering her life or key moments from her life.
Oh, okay.
Lights flashed before her eyes.
Yeah, and it's a lot of like decisions that brought her to where she is. So we see her like the teacher in her class asking like, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And she's like, "A teacher." And then a singer, and then I don't know, and then I don't know. Stop asking. She realizes
Relatable.
that
Very relatable.
very relatable. She realizes that she likes listening to her friends' problems. Goes down the route of how to become a psychologist. Does that. Goes to college. We see Chandra there at college. Determines that she actually has a thing for older guys. Ends up sleeping with her professor. Is caught sleeping with said professor.
Oh.
Is then nicknamed Harley because of the fact that like old dudes having a midlife crisis all have ridden her.
Hey.
Yeah.
Time it back.
Oh, man.
So like that's it. That's her life in her head.
Okay.
Of course, the Joker just packs up and leaves.
Right.
In
Now a
the
little
pub.
no
flag
reason
comes
to
out
kill
that
her.
says, "Bang, you're in love."
Right? Yeah, no. So like as he's driving away with one of his goons, he's like, "Why did you let her live?" And he's like, "Because her eyes made a promise." And he's like, "What?" He's like, "They promised to see me."
What indeed?
Yeah, he says, "Yes, they promised to see me every night in her dreams." He's like, "I traumatized her."
That's creepy.
Yes. Yes, it is.
Interesting. Now, is this really happening? Or is this her imagination as
Yeah.
to what he
Okay,
says?
so we got to give the story a little like leeway here because there's no way she would know that this conversation
Right,
happened unless
right.
he tells her that later on.
Which maybe, yeah.
But presumably this is just happening.
Yeah, okay.
Batman shows up. We're doing a book about Gotham City.
Yeah, there's gonna be
Batman's going to show
yeah.
up.
Yep.
He like lays down like a smoke screen essentially, causes the van to crash. It's hilarious because like the dudes who are riding on the back obviously go flying off and are presumably dead. The driver slams through the windshield and like Joker's like, "Okay, wait. I get the idiots on the back dying, but like, dude, we have seatbelts for a reason."
Okay.
That's
the
just-
fact
that's
that
on you.
He advocates seatbelts is great.
Right?
Yeah, he doesn't want to die.
He's like, "No, I'm not going to die."
It's like, what? No,
you
this
can
is
see he's
just
wearing
smart.
one.
He's
And
wearing
the
his
other guy's not,
seatbelt. Yeah. That guy's like, "Oh, sorry, boss. I won't let it happen again." Joker kills him. Which I'm like, I want to point that out because he just killed him. Didn't kill Harley, kills him.
Right.
I mean,
Maybe he's put him out of his misery.
I think
he's
so.
Like, he's dying. He's
look at
bleeding
those.
from the
Look at
mouth.
that speech bubble.
That is not Joker style. That is not Joker
You know
style
what?
to
He
put someone out of his
He
misery.
couldn't let him get captured. That's the thing.
guess.
It's like, you can't run.
What?
I'm not going to have you talking.
I guess. I think he just he just kills. Like he's like, I kill and I don't care.
It's like, I'm killing you because you're an idiot. 'Cause
There's-
you didn't wear a seatbelt.
Exactly. There's literally a moment for Ben in this book when she
Oh.
turns to Bob and says, "You're my number one guy now."
Yay.
Batman shows up, more so like it was the Batplane that was there. He like launches out of it, and there's like a huge fight that like ensues. And like Harley is trapped between the smoke screen and the flames of the explosion behind her.
Oh.
2 cops show up. One of them's like helping the other one who's been hurt.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Hey, lady, like, can you come? Like, can you walk? Like, come with us." And she's like, "Yeah, I can walk." And they're trying to figure out where they're gonna go. And he's like, "We'll go to the subway station." It's like, you know. And she's like, "That's across the street." The other cop's like, we're not going to make that. We're not going to make it across the street.
Like,
I'm
this
like,
is
"That's
Batman
cool."
and the Joker.
Yeah.
We're already dead.
Yeah, there's another explosion. There are still explosives in the alleyway. Obviously, as the fire is spreading, it's becoming more of a danger zone.
Yeah.
So, like, they start moving. They're like, "Fine, we'll just find a way out of here." Joker loses 2 guys in classic Batman style. He's like, "Yoink, yoink." And then the fight between the Joker and Batman is on. All of a sudden, Joker's flying out of the cloud of smoke where Harley is, or Harleen is, because she had a moment where like she became so terrified of what was happening, she couldn't move anymore. And she like has that moment where she's like, it's like I'm that girl in the horror movie.
Where you're like,
Yeah.
run,
Get out
you
of there.
stupid,
Run.
just run.
Oh.
Yep. She's like, I'm that girl right now. The cops just leave.
Yeah.
They're just like, nope.
Like, well, I'm not going to stop.
Yeah, she looks upon the Joker with disgust as he like wipes the blood from his face and then is grappled back into the fight by Batman. Cool splash image, right?
Yeah.
Of like the 2 of them like battling it out. She says it like eventually the explosion stopped for a moment and there's nothing but this eerie silence, and she equates it to like the moment of seeing a flash of like lightning and knowing the thunder's coming. And I'm like, that's cool, right? And you do hear that. You hear Batman like hit him and like the crack of bone and then his like sinister laugh.
Like the rumblings. Yeah.
Yeah.
The good imagery.
It's just so dope, right? Like, because there they are fighting within this like smoke screen with like the light of the like bat plane behind them. So they're just 2 shadow puppets fighting one another as she watches on.
Hey, look, posters for Harvey Dent.
Can we trust him? Joker makes a run for it after he spits in Batman's face because, you know, he plays dirty.
Yeah.
He pursues him into a fountain where Harley realizes that the danger has passed and should be running away. And yet, as the smoke clears and she sees other people, she is drawn the way they are to follow the danger. And so they all,
see what happens.
everyone runs to the fountain.
They're like, fight, fight.
That's exactly what they're like. Batman's just pounding on the Joker, right? And like literally she equates them kind of to the bats where like they're there to feast. And like instead of the sounds of punching, it sounds more like yes, more, kill. Of the people around her.
Yeah, that's
right.
dark.
Right?
Yeah. Well,
gonna
it's
say
like
this is
they see the Joker and they're like, just fucking kill him.
Yeah,
just
just
kill
throw
him.
it.
Just get rid of him.
This is almost like the mutant leader in Dark Knight Returns.
Right?
Except, you know, it's not his own goons watching.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just the people of Gotham. She realizes that she like Harleen's continuing to have these dreams where like she like the Joker's there and it haunts her memories, like his sickening wide smile and like watching the violence of that night over and over again. Inevitably, a few days pass and she goes back to work. She goes to the Center for the Study of Criminal Psychology in Gotham City. They're doing a great job. 10 out of 10.
They don't fix anyone. They just study.
They just study. Listen, Arkham can fix them. We just study them.
Yeah.
It's a lot safer over here.
I sit in a room, I look at them, and I go,
I'm going to write down how messed up that is.
Maybe I'll write a book.
Yeah.
It's revealed that the 2 of the individuals that she went to college with, one of which was spreading the rumor about her, works with her here.
Oh, awesome.
And so like she really keeps to herself because
Yeah.
she's afraid of being judged because she can't shake that. And in fact, the day she goes back, what's her name?
bitch.
Yeah, that's it.
No, that's just what she calls it.
No, that's what. No, her name's Pauline. Pauline gets right up to Harley's face, and it's like, "Who did you screw to get it?" She's like, "What are you talking about? I don't have any like. Do you even know what I just went through? Like, get back
Yeah,
off."
Get what?
dude shows up and is like, hey, you got to get into Dr. Matthews' office right now. Dr. Matthews is the lady in charge of this facility. She shows up. One of the dudes from the symposium is there.
Oh.
And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize you had someone in here. They told me to just kind of barge in. She's like, I'll go out. And they're like, no. You're part of this. Get in here. She's like, wait, you were in my thing and you left. And he's like, yeah, I did. She gets like crazy, like worried about it. And then like inevitably starts rambling. And then it's like, am I fired? Is that what's happening here?
God.
You're firing me?
Please tell me I'm not fired. Okay, I'll clear out my desk. Just don't tell anybody. All right, you can tell people, but just let me move to another town.
Right? And like they're like, just have a minute, just stop. This guy introduced himself and he's like, my name's Lucius Fox.
Oh,
Hey!
what? Okay.
And he's like,
fun.
first of all, I wasn't bored of your pitch. It's just, I already saw the merit in what you were saying and you just kept talking.
Right.
Like,
you
I
got
got
to the
it.
point, and then you got past the point.
Yeah, like I get it. But you didn't need to like do any more than that. And he's like, I am.
Stop talking. You've hit pay dirt.
Yes.
I'm sold.
I'm in. He's like, I'm the chief scientific advisor for the Wayne Foundation, but also he goes out and tries to find, studies like this that could be funded. And she's
Okay.
like, okay, cool. She knows the way in which the Wayne Foundation could make money off of it because she remembers Chandra telling her that's all they care about,
Right,
right?
right,
And it's like
man.
we could eventually,
she's trying to
eventually
make that
maybe
kind of
we
pitch.
could turn this into a pharmaceutical thing. Blah blah blah. He's already offered her the grant money, and he's
Right.
like, yeah, I'm sure we could, but that's not really why we're interested in this. Like,
Right.
and she's like, she has like this thought. She's like, I'm gonna kill you, Chandra. I'm gonna kill you. Like, just-
I betrayed who I am for nothing.
yeah.
Damn it, Chandra, your words are like a cancer.
Yeah.
Oh, that's what you meant.
Oh, it is a great week for that then. I'm just trying to understand why the Wayne Foundation and Mr. Wayne would be interested in this, if not
Right.
to make money.
Yeah, what's
and
the
he's
point?
like, Lucius is like, well, as you might know, Mr. Wayne has a personal history with crime and would very much like to find ways to stop it and prevent it.
Right. It's a philanthropic organization.
Yes.
His parents were murdered.
There's no way you don't know this.
Right.
Like, zero
You
way.
work in Gotham.
Right? And she's like, oh.
Stupid.
Is this something they teach in like Gotham City schools? Like the
get-
Waynes,
Waynes were
the saviors of the family, were murdered in the alley.
They must. That or like you move there and it's like you get a pamphlet.
Yeah.
They're like, just so you know.
Don't go to the opera.
It's not the opera, it's the movies.
That's either.
No, it's not. Now I gotta actually like find a way to get into Arkham and to Blackgate and like interview the GCPD and like how am I gonna do that? And like he's like, hold on.
Well, I mean, if you're being funded, you should have access.
Yeah, also like the Wayne Foundation has made significant donations to Arkham and Blackgate and the GCPD, so they owe us.
Right.
So it just takes a couple of calls.
So I guess I'm
Right.
really doing all the work.
yeah.
I mean, you will actually talk to the people, but I'll do the rest.
yeah, meanwhile, like her boss will find out about getting her into Blackgate.
Yeah, the door is already opened.
Yeah, you just gotta go through.
The rest is on you.
Yeah, and so like essentially, she ends up saying thank you to both of them. Like Lucius leaves, she's like, "Hey, like seriously, Dr. Matthews, like thank you," and she's like, "What? Like, all right, and I get it, thank you." And she's like, "No, like you gave me a chance." And like Matthews is like, "Oh, you mean because of your relationship with that professor?" She's like, "Yeah, but you also like scored top marks in these other two classes, one of which was taught by this crotchety old woman who like I had when I went to college. So I know you know your shit."
Yeah, she's a crone.
Yeah.
Been there
basically.
forever.
Yeah. She is a fixture of the Institute.
And don't take this the wrong way, but you're not her type.
Yeah.
So
I
I
don't
don't
know.
think.
So I
that-
don't think it has anything to do with that. So I know you know your shit. Harley leaves renewed, right? She flips off Pauline on her way out.
Yeah, screw you, Pauline.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
She ends up still like having some nightmares, but inevitably they subside, and the like pathway that she's walking on through Gotham, which is often haunted by the visage of the Joker, is now there's just mist. There's it's the unknown factor there, right? Like what is her future? Who
Right.
knows?
It's wide open.
It's
Yeah.
the unknown.
Possibilities are endless.
Yeah, and then we see her going to Arkham, and I love this image of her going to Arkham because it's her walking into the gates, and her shadow is that of Harley Quinn. And like she ends up saying, I guess there's something to be said about walking toward the light. You tend not to notice the shape of your shadow. And I was like, that's cool. That's cool, right? Because like this is it. Like had she not wanted to do this,
Yep.
this
She's
is
crossing the threshold,
into
walking through the gate.
Yep, into inevitability.
Yeah.
She arrives.
Arkham has a really nice sign.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course they do.
It was built when everything had a nice sign.
She arrives at Arkham. It's her first day. She has to be buzzed in. She's being like given the 3rd degree by like the guard at the door. Her name's Priya. And the other dude shows up and is like, "I got this." Right? And he's like,
Here's your security buzzer. Here's your mace. Here's your air horn.
Yeah.
Here's your full riot gear.
"Here's your cyanide pill for when it gets real bad." This dude who introduced himself as Tim Bronson is like, he gets her name wrong. She's like, "It's Quinzel." He calls her like Quinzel, something like that.
Sounds like a pastry.
Right?
It is a weird name.
It is, for sure. He does mention that. He's like, "I'm the chief security guard here." But like, essentially, she questions like, "Is security always like this?" Because like I felt like I was like seconds away from a pelvic exam. And he's like, "We're on high alert today because of him." And she's like, "Who do you mean him?" And then you hear, "Honey, I'm home," as the Joker's rolled in because he's reading Return to Arkham.
Ah, from where?
He was just caught by Batman.
This is like right after.
Yeah, remember, because this was like, I think like the next day she goes there. So it's like 4 days after, so he's probably been processed and what have you, and he's
Right.
being returned
Right.
to Arkham at this point. She avoids looking at him at all costs, right? And like he catches a glimpse, but like nothing clicks
He doesn't
necessarily.
necessarily recognize her.
Right. So
My
Bronson,
memory of the outside is very different than when I'm inside.
right, Bronson has this moment of like, you'll get used to it here. Like it was a rough start, but trust me, you'll be fine. We see the parallels of them like being there, and like this is one of those moments where she's thinking about like what Chandra said about like the stars like coming together, because she's like, we arrived at Arkham on the same day.
Same day.
We go through a very similar process. He has a photo taken, she gets her ID photo taken.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, to be fair, with the number of times he gets out, he's probably arriving
He's
there
like, it's-
many days out
yeah,
of the year. So
exactly.
it wasn't that big a coincidence.
for her it is. For her it's like,
At the same time, like, you got one picture of the Joker on file. How many more do you need every time?
I mean, a new one every time. Every time
who
you
knows what
process
he's
it.
changed?
Wow.
What if he grows a beard? We won't recognize him with his green hair.
And white skin.
Yeah. Listen, shut up.
What if he's a double? He does that, right?
Yeah, what if
Gets
it's
people up
makeup?
to look like him.
When she's having her badge taken, the person taking the photo is like, you probably shouldn't smile.
Right.
Oh, good. It's like the New Jersey DMV.
Yeah, don't smile.
Excuse me. Don't smile.
Oh, also take your glasses off? But I have to wear them. It says it on my, what?
Yeah, I'm required to wear them when I drive.
Yeah. Yeah, but it makes reflections on that. I don't.
Well, you would like,
gonna look good.
but like, that you could change them up and then we wouldn't know who you are.
Who are you, Superman?
I don't know about that.
There is truth to it.
I knew it.
Anyway, she has to check in with Hugo Strange. She has a conversation with him.
Oh yeah, he runs Arkham.
He's none too happy about this, but like he's like, the Waynes, we owe them big time, sure. So,
Is he already evil?
he's just kind of like unfeeling about it. He's like, a lot of folk have come in here with some big ideas about how to save these people, but like, you get over it.
Right. They're not here to be treated. They're here to be locked away forever.
Right? I mean, the idea is like, they should be because Blackgate exists.
Right.
But like, he's like, I've seen it all.
What did they tell you was down here? They told me it's a dead end.
Right? Pretty much. So, essentially, she's given her office. The office door has a misspelling of her last name. She has a bunch of files there of some very high-profile individuals, all of which she wants to meet and interview. One gets tossed in the drawer. It's the Joker.
It's the Joker.
She's like, I'm not interviewing him. Forget
Just put
that.
that one away. Yeah.
She goes on a series of interviews with Zaz, with Poison Ivy, Riddler, Killer Croc, Mad Hatter.
Oh.
Right.
Fun. She also does interview Freeze. We don't see it here, but we will see it later on.
Okay.
What she ends up having an issue with, and that, as we kind of discover this throughout the book, is that the information she really needs from them is how they got where they are. What she gets from them is like the story of them now, because that's all they care about. They're
Right.
obsessive, compulsive with their like villainous nature at this
Right.
point.
They don't
right?
want to talk about their life before.
Right. Which is the thing that I thought was kind of cool. All she's after is their origin stories in her origin story. I'm like, okay.
So the origin story of Harley is the origin stories of others.
Kind of, except she can't get it out of them.
Yeah.
Like they won't give it up because that's not what they want to talk about, right?
Has she tried punching them?
You know, I don't think she did.
I think that might be
That's the Batman method.
Unethical.
I probably wouldn't punch Killer Croc.
Yeah. It's not going to do anything.
Oh, come on, look at him. He's all chained up. He's got a muzzle on.
She's smaller
What's he
than his
gonna do?
forearm.
I know. It's not okay.
How about I get you?
Ah.
I'd love it if he just like chuckled. He's like, you're adorable.
Look at you. No. He says that like it's a man-eat-man world and he's the top of the food chain. And like he has no room for empathy.
Man eat man, woman inherits the earth.
That's right. She continues to have increasingly worse nightmares now that she's here.
Yeah, she's closer.
Because she's closer to him. She's seen him. Now she's avoiding him.
Yeah.
Are there nightmares of other people inside the
Nope,
prison?
it's just the Joker.
Just the Joker.
Always
Okay.
him. Always the Joker.
It's always the Joker. So her solution is she's just not going to sleep. So she has like, she's like
Oh, that
doing
usually works.
Yeah, she's doing
That
like
always
2
works.
cups of coffee at a time at this point. Bronson's like, you okay? She's like, I'm working through it. Coffee all the way.
She's just jittery and shaky. She's like, what do you mean?
Yeah. So here's a moment you're just like, Torgo.
Tell her go.
We see her have another nightmare. She's actually asleep at her desk. It's her talking to that gentleman from earlier, the military man, about it.
Yeah.
And inevitably, like, it turns into the Joker. Because, like, the story he tells her is, like, he's like, I was hoping I could talk to you again. Like, remember I told you about how my buddy was, like, had his, like, throat slit? He's like, I had a dream the other night where, like, I saw him in a field, and he was, like, looking up at the stars, and he was smiling, but he was smiling 2 smiles.
Oh.
I was like, oh, I'm so glad he doesn't draw that.
Yeah.
It's
oh,
enough
God.
that I see it in my head.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And then, like, as he reveals himself from the shadows that he's in, he says the line that Joker says to Harley earlier, or in the book when he runs into her on the streets, which is, you picked a hell of a night for a walk. I was
Yeah.
like, cool. So she wakes up, and she's like, screw this, all right? I need to get a hold of this. I need to figure out, like, how to get him out of my head. And so, like, she decides to look into him some more. And she finds all of the tapes from previous interviews from the 6 other doctors who have tried to deal with the Joker.
Right.
And so she pops them in, and she watches them. And what we see is the, like, classic, like, Joker not giving a solid origin story.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Where it's like the, like, you know, oh, my family, like, there was a fire down at the docks. Like, you know, oh, my real family was the circus that, like, you know, took me in. Oh, like, you know, I was, like, I worked for, like, a crime boss, and, like, he, like, kind of, like, raised me up, and then inevitably I had to kill him. He says that, like, he goes by the persona Joe. What she gets out of it is how mundane it all is. Mm-hmm. She's like, so he's just lying. It's all an act. Like, it's all
Right.
bullshit. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. And she feels better. She's like, it's all crap.
Right.
Like,
he's not really like this crazy psychopath.
He's a
just
big fat
he's just a
phony.
yeah. Then there's one tape that's there, and it's called The Real Joker. She pops that in. And what it is actually not an interview tape, but a tape of him being sentenced. He's being arrested, and there's a person in the crowd screaming at him, like, give him the chair! Just kill him! That's where she sees the man she saw that night. And so, like, what he says is that, like, you know, we're all monsters in a civilized cage. You know, like, you look at you right now. Like, you give it a little push to those bars.
Yeah, you're calling for blood.
Yeah, like you'll be right with us. You'll be right with the monsters. And, like, you know that, like,
He's like talking to the
Hey, all it
camera,
takes
so
is
he's
one
talking
bad
to her.
day.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's
There we
that's
go.
it.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
that
the
Joker.
closest we get to it. But like, you know, and that's she's like, oh crap, that's what I'm saying. That, like, if you're under high amount of stress, it could break you, and it could
Right.
break your ability to feel empathy.
Yeah.
All right, so this is good for her research.
Yeah, but she don't want to have to deal with that, right?
Yeah.
So she's like, I have
Okay.
to talk to him.
Yeah. It's also interesting, you know, the contrast between the tapes of when he's in the institution being interviewed
Yep.
versus when he's out in the wild, he's like a different person.
Yeah.
Like he's more calm and just kind of a douche.
Right.
When he's being
When
interviewed.
he's being interviewed, he's also like playing his own game. He's like just screwing with these people because
Yeah.
he's like, I'm in total control here. On the outside world, he's interacting with the people of Gotham who he does think are monsters. He's like, no, you're all monsters. You just haven't been pushed far enough yet. But you'll get there.
Yeah.
At least in his mind, you will. Don't do that.
I keep trying.
I'm trying.
I'm blowing things up. I'm killing people.
Come
I'm
on,
making
folks.
crazy schemes.
It's just not happening. I'm not feeling it.
Harley's still struggling with sleep. She calls Chandra to try to get some pharmaceuticals to help her sleep. They don't work. She tries not eating spicy food. She tries tea. She tries like milk, all of that stuff. Nothing works. Oh, she tries going to a chiropractor. Nope.
That is my face if I went to a chiropractor. Like,
Yeah.
Yep.
oh God, I'm gonna die.
Yep.
Snap.
And then finally, she finds something that works, and it's alcohol.
Yeah, like she actually goes to sleep.
Yes.
So I mean, she like feels
If
way
she goes to
better.
sleep, she might be unconscious.
Yeah, but and she has a hangover the next day, but at least she's not having nightmares.
Right.
It's because she's too busy throwing up in her sleep to have the nightmares.
Exactly. She gets a call, and it's someone setting up an appointment with a certain district attorney,
Ooh.
Harvey Dent.
Harvey Dent.
Can we trust him? Well, we'll find out. He wants to meet her at 7 a.m. at this very specific spot because he loves it there before anyone gets there because it shows you just how beautiful Gotham can be.
That's a fucking power move, and fuck you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has a coin.
7 a.m.
Yeah.
He's playing the coin game with his fingers. I can't do it, so
Nope.
this is the best you're getting right now.
It looks like this.
It looks like this. He's like, hey, our office got a call about what you're doing with your research, and I'm here to ask you to stop.
Oh. What do
She's
they
like,
care?
I'm sorry, what?
Stop.
Stop, why would I stop? And he's like, because if you continue this research and are able to prove anything, every scumbag attorney is going to give some sob story in the courtroom as to why their client can't feel empathy. He's like, you are going to reopen countless cases with this.
Well, it's like trying to plea insanity again. They
And
already
she's
have
like,
that option.
she's like, I get it, what you're saying, but like, if we do prove it, we might actually be able to help these people.
Right. He's like, I don't want to help them.
Well, he's like, listen, like you're all.
That doesn't get me votes.
He's like, you're kind of new to this, I guess, but like the fact is, it's like I have this coin. It's a double-sided coin. It was given to me by the mother of a victim of like her son was killed by a criminal who was paroled. And
Did she
she's
like blame him?
No, she gave it to him as a reminder. She's like, this is what they are. Like they might flip and turn and whatever, but it's the same side every time.
Right. Right. Like the idea that like these bad people are at their core.
They're
just
always going to be bad.
They
It doesn't
always
matter
will
if
be.
if you say they're good and you release them, they're always bad.
Yeah.
And she's like, that's a load of crap. We have this really cool moment where she like Harley comes back in and is like, it's funny because it's like all like everything we're talking about, all of our morals, like, you know, our fight here. And 5 months later, we'd both be murderers. I'm like, it's very apropos. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough, Harles.
That's a face and a half.
Well, she's pissed. Or directly after this meeting, she's like,
Yeah.
that's it. I'm going to go talk to the Joker now. She's fired up. She's ready to go. She can totally do this.
Like, I'm gonna fix the Joker just to show that Harvey
Well,
Dent
she's like,
asshole.
I'm gonna interview him.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna totally prove that I'm right. And I'm
Right.
gonna get him out of my head. I'm in total control of it. Here we go. And we get a scene that's kind of reminds me of like Silence of the Lambs, where like Bronson's there. He's like, he's down the hall here. We keep him alone here because he tends to be a rabble rouser. He doesn't say rabble rouser. I just wanted to say that.
yeah.
Thank you for saying that. 'Cause like, does he say rabble rouser?
No, I just wanted to say that.
What are you,
He's an instigator.
He's an instigator.
part of the greatest generation? Rabble rouser.
He technically says he has a tendency to start shit.
Oh, nice.
So I was, you know. Anyway, he's like, if you need anything, you just call me. So she sends him down the
If you
hall.
need anything, you better bring it in there with you, because
Yes.
I'm staying out here.
Yeah, I'm not helping you. I'm not going in there. She goes into the room. It's like a padded cell with like a reinforced glass wall between them. She
Oh,
stays.
yeah, very Hannibal Lecter-ish.
Yes, she stays to the shadows. And essentially, he's like, "Oh, are you a doctor I know, or are you a new one?" And he's like, "Come into the light. Let me take a look at you." She introduces herself as Dr. Harleen Quinzel. She's been assigned to his case. And like he has this moment where he's like, I know you. I know you're from somewhere. I just can't. Maybe it's electroshock. Maybe it's times I've hit my head. I don't know. And he slams the glass super hard.
Oh, wow.
In order to terrify her. And he's like, there you are. I remember you.
Yeah, you look more like that.
That's the face I
You were
remember.
just lacking some abject terror in your eyes. But how you doing?
Hey, it's you!
Yeah.
There she is.
He's like, this is funny.
There she is.
He's like, I let you off with a warning. I told you not to stick around here anymore. And you're a psychologist, and you're sure that's funny. This is funny.
Oh, this is going to be bad for you.
He's like, so she's like, are you done? And he's like, well, aren't you supposed to tell me that? Aren't you supposed to like pick apart my little stories? She's like, I'm very aware of all of your little stories. And, like that you tend to like spin lies. And he's like, that kind of ruins the fun.
Yeah, I'm going to call you the spinster from now on.
He's like, thanks. Essentially, he's like, its stories are more fun. They're really just interesting lies, and like I like to keep up like the theatrics of it all. So she's like, all right, well then tell me stories, the monster stories of Gotham. That's what I want to know. You call this a city of monsters. Tell me about it. And he goes like, okay, she calls him Mr. Joker.
Okay.
And he's like, oh please call me Jay.
Mr. Joker's my father.
Yes. And she goes, very well, Mr. J.
Oh, yay.
Sexy.
And she's like, I remember thinking in that moment, I can control this situation.
I remember thinking in that moment, I can't hear that not in a Staten Island accent.
Exactly. I like this, again, like in the shadows, like he's like over her, even there.
Right there.
So that ends like book 1 of this. So now we get into book 2. So like he gives this whole spiel about how and literally the Icarus thing comes up where he's like, Gotham's a city where angels fly on the wings of Icarus. And like they kind of end their session, but like right before they do, she asks like what he dreams of. Because like he mentions that like everyone there dreams about going crazy.
Okay.
But like the problem is once you do, there's no going back. She's like, what do you dream of? And he's like, I don't know, like simple stuff. Honest smiles, and then he ends the session. And like she ends up leaving annoyed. She's like, it was a load of crap. All of that was crap. Like he just
didn't get anywhere.
He did the exact same thing he did to all. I don't know why I thought I was like better than those 6 other psychologists, but whatever.
Well, back to the sauce.
It's back to the sauce. She gets a call. It's late that evening, very late, and it's Dr. Matthews who's calling. Is like, hey, just like you're up, cool. Anyway, I just want to check in. I know you're going to GCPD tomorrow to conduct your interviews there. I'm just thinking, in light of what happened, you might not want to do that. She's like, in light of what? And she's like, seriously, do you not have the TV on? It's on every channel. She's like, okay, puts the TV on, and
What do I just sit here with like the TV on all the time? What am I, my parents?
I'm
Gotta keep the
getting
news
good
on.
and drunk, I will have you know.
I don't have time for TV. And we see Harvey Dent being interviewed by Summer Gleason, talking about Salvatore Maroni and how like they're going after him and they're gonna take him down, whatever. Essentially, then he watches like a cop deliver like coffee to him, and he's just like, no, apparently like he's so important that the police will deliver coffee to him. Like he's like, enough. I'm done. I'm putting my foot down here, right?
You scum.
You scum. I'm taking you down. Essentially, Maroni's like, back off, Dent. And then he goes, sometimes no matter how hard you try to save face, you can't. And he takes the cup of coffee he has and he throws it in his face, and it ain't coffee.
Hey, oh shit.
Wow.
That is
And
good.
Yeah, and then he yells, now die, you two-faced son of a bitch.
Wow.
This is from my boy. Because like,
So he's just giving up on not going to jail. He's like, I'm going to jail. I'm taking this guy down.
right.
Because like you just did that in front of a
Right.
bunch of people. Like,
But like
my boy?
he's gonna claim that he was bereaved because his son was put in jail by Dent. So like Dent, I think, ended up like being funded by Maroni in order to put him like he like gave him money and he didn't think anything of it at the time. His son got in trouble. Dent prosecuted anyway, got him in jail where the kid died.
oh.
Maroni blames Dent.
Right, right.
Like I paid you off in advance.
Yeah. And so he's like,
You broke a contract.
yeah, but he's also like, you killed my son. So he's going to go with that route.
Right.
He's like, temporary insanity. And
You threw acid on a dude and melted his face. I don't think
This was
they're gonna let
pre-planned.
you.
Right?
You didn't
I
magically
know.
conjure that into acid out
Yeah.
of like.
No, I was temporarily insane for like 5 hours while I put this plan together.
right? Harley mentions that like various channels, like she tries to change the channel as it's happening to avoid it, but it's on every channel.
Yeah, it's gonna
and like
be.
some of them cut away and some of them zoom in.
Oh God.
Every channel I changed to, it's just more graphic.
Yeah, but it doesn't stop there. The night's not over.
Oh
What?
wow.
Maroney was arrested, and as he's being like transferred, a bunch of dudes show up and take him. They call themselves the Executioners.
Oh.
And they're like, we've had enough. Okay?
Oh, vigilantes.
Yes. Then Batman and Robin show up.
Right.
Late to the party.
Right. They were trying to get there to stop him, and they were just too late.
Yeah.
Oh no!
So people see that Batman has jumped these guys, but they don't know.
Right. Well, they seem to jump into the fray. Like, Batman's here. Oh, thank God. Yeah.
Oh man, the news definitely got a good logo of that ready.
Well,
Oh,
it's
the
just their masks.
Executioners,
I'm gonna
yeah.
guess that they sent that. It was probably the beginning of their video. You know it was. You know they got a designer
Yeah,
to
they
put
had a
that
press
together.
package designed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like, here you go, guys. There's an interview with Gordon. Gotham PD has been, working with a vigilante for years now. How is this different?
How is this different? This is completely different. They just executed someone. Batman's literally never done that.
And that's what he says.
Although
Like,
he breaks a lot of bones.
yeah, that's-
Jim just goes, how are they different from Batman? Is that what you're asking me? Batman doesn't murder people. No more questions. No more questions. We're done
questions.
here. Harley goes to GCPD anyway. She's like, I'm going to do it anyway. This is my chance. I'm like,
Yeah.
they may want to talk to someone right
Yeah.
now. Like, this might be a good opportunity for me. Shows up. Gordon's there. He's like, okay.
How you doing?
Yeah. Gordon's
So
like,
last night was crazy.
yeah.
Huh?
Gordon's like, this is kind of a bad time.
Yeah. Yeah. No shit.
And like he explains, she's like, no, but they may want to talk right now. And he's like, no one wants to talk right now because we didn't get all of the executioners.
Oh.
And so every cop is like, they're among our ranks somewhere because
Oh.
it is members of the
I was gonna say
GCPD.
it must be right.
Okay.
In fact, they have one of them in custody and he's being interviewed. And like inevitably he says like a lot of things that like Harley's like, oh, it is my thing, right? Because he's like talking about it. It's like, you've got like Mr. Freeze and Zaz and Joker and like, honestly, they're irredeemable killers. And like you think if you didn't have them on the business end of your rifle, you wouldn't take the shot, but we're not supposed to? Like, what is that? I don't understand. The detective or whoever interviewing him is like, we have laws. And he's like, yeah, laws are like a load of crap because the fact is it's like they're not protecting anyone.
Look at the town we live in. Look
Yeah.
at Gotham. You think laws matter when all these people like run free?
Yeah, he's like, oh, they can get out on good behavior or parole or they escape. And he's like, and Batman's not willing to do the job. He's like, so we will. So essentially these guys got fired up after Dent got acid on him because Dent was like a hero to them because Dent was going after these guys and he was
Right.
trying to keep them behind bars as much as he could.
Den always had that idea of like, they're always rotten eggs. There is
Yeah.
no saving
He
them.
was very much in the
Ah,
camp.
good tying
Yeah.
it in.
So Harley's like obviously not going to be interviewing anyone today. And before she leaves, she's like, wait, I want to talk to him.
Huh.
You have a light, you can get him here. And she's like, yeah, you know what? We've had it on almost every night this week. So more than likely we're going to put it on. So you can stick around if you want.
Right. I'm not putting it on for
For
you
you!
to talk to him, but
If we do put it on tonight, you can come up with me. She hangs out there. She sees among the cops like the fact that they're all afraid and they mistrust one another. Because like this GCPD seemingly it's under Gordon, so it's a little less corrupt seeming, and so like they're all like, who's doing it? Who's
Yeah, like
the
he's-
one going too far?
Like he's weeded out the bad apples already.
Hopefully. They put the light on. He's like, come on, there's Batman. And like he immediately is like, new detective. He's like, she's a shrink.
eh,
All she wants to know from Batman is, can they be helped?
what the fuck does Batman know about that? Well,
I haven't had long conversations with them, but in the times where I've punched, kicked, and arrested them,
Yeah.
no.
interesting.
Yeah,
Does
and,
she
like-
think?
Well-
She probably thinks he thinks they can because he doesn't kill them.
Bingo. So
Yeah.
she's like, why don't you cross that line? Like he's like, I don't kill. And she's like, why?
Yeah, but why though?
Like I don't she's like, I need a reason.
Well, you see, my parents were, oh, never mind. Oh, tricky doctor. Trying to get one over on Bruce Wayne. I mean, Batman.
Look, like the fact is it's like at times it seems like that's the right choice. And as hard as it is to deny it, I don't do that because I'd be giving up on them or on myself. And she's like, so you do think there's hope for them? And he's like, I hope there is. And then she goes, even the Joker? And he doesn't really answer that one. He just says, like, do I think he could be helped? Many have tried.
No
anyway,
questions.
I gotta go talk to Jim now.
Right.
What the fuck was she?
You didn't really
Never
answer my
bring
question.
anybody else
Yeah.
up here again.
Yeah.
Jim.
That was bullshit, Jim. I don't want to talk to any doctors. I don't like it.
Jim. She decides that she's gonna go back in and talk to him. She wants to finish the conversation, right? And like we get a lot more into it. And like she decides that like instead of trying to get to the heart of it, she's gonna like try to talk him to exhaustion to finally get some truth out of him. So she's like, I'm gonna do what a psychologist is supposed to do, and I'm gonna listen. And so like he gets in this whole thing, and it's actually kind of fascinating, and I highly recommend you gotta pick this up and you gotta read it yourself because like there's a lot to this, but there's this great diatribe he has about like the ridiculous nature of knowing there are metahumans in the world and having the police. What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they're just for people.
Yeah, but like, what are they doing most of the time? Right?
So he thinks the police are like don't serve any function.
There's no
legitimate
reason.
function
Like,
in
it's
society.
ridiculous to think that like they'll be able to do anything.
Well, not only that, but that society says no. This is the this is the boundary that we have for this kind of crime. We've always had the police. So against supercrime, we still have police.
Yeah, but he's like, but they're becoming demoralized, right? And that's why we got these vigilantes. And he's like, because like they got pushed too far, and now they're monsters as well. They killed.
Right.
They're going down that route, right?
Interesting. Huh.
And like,
Does he say the empathy within them has died?
no. He like, but they do start talking about Batman, and
So
then
he's taking the position that like the one people take, where it's like, oh, once you have metahumans, then everyone goes crazy, and that's
kind of. Well,
like,
he's
Batman
just,
caused me and all the others.
No. He's saying very
Although
much.
Batman's not a metahuman, I guess. So.
No, he's saying that like the idea is that like you have these cops who are like just being pushed to the brink essentially against these odds that they couldn't possibly face, and
That
so
they were
then,
never designed for.
yeah, and so then you end up having these vigilantes who show up, the executioners,
Right.
who were part of that.
Yeah.
And he's
yeah,
like,
but that like just happened.
right, but he's using that. He's like, see, I'm right. It's happening.
Right.
And so then like they bring up Batman and how he's like, he's not just a vigilante. He's like righteous indignation personified.
What a pompous ass.
Yeah, he's like the person.
Oh, you have a real problem with Batman, huh?
Yeah, well, he's like, the person who can break the rules will cross the line. And he's like, and she just talked to him about it.
Right.
She's like, not all lines. And he's like, for now. And I'm
I'll
like,
get
okay,
'em
yeah, we're
one
seeing,
day.
yeah. He's like, no. That's this Joker's reasoning for this. He's like, every person can be pushed to the brink of becoming a monster.
Right.
I'm
Well,
like,
he was turning into a monster.
yeah, he's turning a monster. He
So
realized,
he's like supporting her theory 100%, even though she hasn't like told him.
kind of, like, he's kind of just like getting to that. He's more thinking of the fact that he's like, everyone wants to be crazy. Everyone wants it secretly. You want to be crazy. You dream about it. You go for it.
What's going on?
Right, because it's so like free. And you
It's
can do
so
whatever you want.
yeah, like that's our nature. That's our nature. So he's going. It's the nature of folk. You will get to that breaking point, and then you're you. That's the real you, the real monster. Go for it.
Yeah, this empathy you have is a lie.
for it.
Not supposed to be there.
Right. So like, he's like, you've seen it. She's like, yeah. And then like they're kind of like all done for the day. And she's like, one more question. Why didn't you pull the trigger that night?
Ah.
Oh, too far.
Right.
Yeah. It's
Making
not
it personal.
good. Yeah, she's showing that it bothered her.
Yep, and then he's like, the fact is, like, there's two things I like to see on a person's face, like horror and an honest smile. Very rarely do the paths cross, but, like, the fact is, like, I looked at your face in terror and horror, and I thought to myself, I wouldn't mind seeing her smile.
Oh.
And she's like, and then he's like, but maybe I was just out of bullets, who knows? And he laughs.
Yeah.
And then
I don't think it's that one.
Right. As she's going to leave, he says to her, but no joke, I'd like to see you smile one day. And she's like, that
Thump,
was
thump, thump, thump.
right. She's like, that, like, the way he said it at the end of a breath, as though if he didn't say it then, he'd reconsider saying it, made it real.
Right.
I'm like, oh, God.
Like it just kind of slipped out.
Get out of there, Harley! She picks up a book written by one of his past psychologists to remind herself of what a lunatic he is, right? That night she has a dream where we see like these dope-ass creatures that look like Evangelion xenomorphs.
God.
They're monsters wearing human like masks on them, and they're all
the Joker's ideas people.
Yeah, they're regular people, and they're going to basically watch brutality. It's the Joker. He's chained down, and that like he's being sentenced, and all he wants to do is see a smile. And she's like, okay, well.
So this is kind of interesting because he's sort of like his idea about everyone's being a monster, like everyone is a monster fundamentally. If he can get her to believe that, then it would justify whatever she might do later, because it's like, well, everyone's monsters anyway.
Yeah, it justifies that. It also justifies everything he's ever done, and he's just like, no, like no one's better. Like no one's any better than I am. Like I did this. Everyone can do this. That's what you're all capable of. It's not that I'm broken.
Right.
That's kind of how
like
it comes
me,
off.
Fundamentally, they're just pretending to be something else.
Except the Batman.
Yeah, which I'll get him there.
Right.
That night, a guard stops by Joker's cell and delivers a file. We all know what's in the file, right? Okay. Days after this interaction she has with the Joker, she finds herself like thinking about what he said, and she stops smiling to people because she's like afraid to do it now. And then like she catches herself in the mirror.
You've even ruined my smile.
Yeah, well, she says that too. Like, but she catches herself in the mirror at one point and she smiles and she has this like flitting like thought that she can't stop before it comes out. And it's that like, he couldn't pull the trigger because I was too beautiful to die.
Oh.
And she's like, oh my God.
Oh no.
What is wrong with me? She
I like it.
stops seeing the Joker and instead puts herself into seeing the Riddler and everybody else, right? Except she's being a really bad psychologist, and she's
this.
He forced Riddle into a sentence.
She's keeping a tally.
But she's not listening anymore. She's not actually having sessions with these people anymore. She's thinking about what Joker said. She's thinking about like she's just analyzing that, and like he's just in there.
Oh, so
is this Captain Cold? Who's in the parka?
That's her.
Oh,
she's seen Freeze. It's got to be She's like, you can't have the warm room. She's having a session with Ivy. This is important because the fact is, like, Ivy is a huge part of Harley's history over the years, obviously.
Yeah, she's become, like, inextricably connected.
It's like they're just intertwined with one another. So Ivy's, like, talking to her, and, like, in their earlier session, like, Harley was taking notes on paper, and she's like, that's very insulting what you're doing to me right now. You're writing on paper. That's dead trees. That's not cool. So
I'm also wearing clothes. Would you like me to not?
It's made of the cotton. They're synthetic.
What do you want me to do?
It's all synthetic. It's just nothing but polyester.
The cotton plant doesn't have to die to produce
That's
that.
true.
That's just the puffy part.
You just pluck that.
It is exploiting them, though.
It is, for sure. She mentions that, like, she's like, oh, I appreciate the effort of bringing the tape recorder. And Harley's like, I only did that because I couldn't be bothered to take notes anymore. I'm like,
you thought that was
say
for
that.
you?
She just thinks it.
Right.
Idiot.
It's like, oh, well.
So then, like, as they're talking, like, all of a sudden, like, Ivy just goes, doctor? And she's like, what? What's the matter? I was clearly not listening.
She had just said something.
Yeah, well, no, she goes, is it me? And Harley's like, what are you talking about? She's like, oh, it's just your hormones are very elevated right now. And, like, every time you smile, you blush. And usually I have to kiss someone to make that happen. So I'm just wondering if maybe my powers have evolved. And, like, Harley's like, oh, no, we're done. We're done for the day. We're done. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Let's go. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Goodbye. Because she's clearly been thinking about Joker this entire time.
Oh, God. That's affecting my work.
Exactly.
One of the patients caught on. Jeez.
She runs into Bronson. He, has this moment with her where they come to, like, a T intersection where he's like, hey, you should come with us because, like, one of our security guards is, like, celebrating their birthday. And while we don't have alcohol, we do have, like, cake and soda. So, like, you should come. And she's like, yeah, actually, I have to go do some paperwork. And so she goes the other way at the intersection. This is, like, really cool visual for her where it's like she could just follow him.
Right.
And be part of society.
Instead, she goes down the other hallway and goes to Joker's cell, which is the 4th night in a row she's gone there and just watched him slept.
That's not good.
Yeah, at one point he rolls over and his back is covered with scars, which I think is interesting because we've seen that a lot with Batman. There's like a moment in Hush in which Batman has all these scars on his back, and like Selina sees it. And that was one of the comics that Shayak had.
Yeah.
Anyway, we cut to Harvey Dent, who has been in a medically induced coma as they've been trying to like heal his face.
Right.
Obviously, it's not going well.
Yeah.
There's this really cool moment where he wakes up from it. They wake him up from the coma. This is dope. You might have missed it if you're going through the pages fast. However, when he opens his eyes, for a moment, the bad eye sees a skull for the woman who's standing on that side. Or like, I guess the guy.
Yeah.
But like, it's a skull.
Interesting.
I was like,
so he sees people as skeletons through the bad eye?
seemingly they're hinting at that, or like that they're hinting at that. Like it's just It's
does he have X-ray vision in that eye?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got
That's what that means because he
superpowers
sees
now.
a skull.
Yeah, that's must be what it is.
I can see the true you, and it's a skeleton.
Exactly.
That's so awesome.
They wake up Dent. Like this dude shows up. His name's Wilkes. I'm guessing he works in the DA's office, right? And it's like, oh, it's a PR nightmare out there, Harvey. Like,
Yeah, it's a PR nightmare.
Well,
that's the kind of nightmare that's happening.
Right, yeah, that's the nightmare. That's the nightmare to worry about.
By the way, how are you feeling? I'm in constant agony and pain.
Yeah, half of my face melted off. Except he doesn't really know that yet.
Oh, right.
He's gonna got half of
they
the
fixed my
Keanu
face.
Reeves here.
It's fixed
little
under these
bit.
badges.
Yeah, it's cool. They
they
just
did some
grafted. They
surgery
took
and
the
stuff.
skin from your butt and they put it on your face.
Oh no, my beauty mark!
Basically, the papers have been running stories that say like the executioners like ended up doing what they did because of you, because of what happened to you. Like you were a martyr for them.
Yeah.
He's like, who?
Right? This
I was in acid.
yeah. This doctor / nurse / whatever is like, could you like not? This dude is like still trying to
this
heal.
Is my patient, man. Get out of
get
here.
out of here. He's barely started the process here.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, it's cool. What we're going to do is you're going to you're going to get a press conference for me and I'll go to it.
Okay.
Right? So they decide that that's what's going to happen. He's like, all right, I'll see you later. And then like he looks at the article about Maroney and in his head he hears, die you two-faced son of a bitch, which is what Maroney said to him, but like in a weird, scratchy red font.
Uh-huh.
Goes to the mirror and he peels a little bit of the bandage back. And
he's like, oh, I look really fucked up.
oh, it's not good.
Oh, no.
Oh, I thought it was just the hair. I mean, I could work with this.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, this is kind of cool, actually.
yeah,
but,
I kind of like this.
not
Yeah, like
face.
half Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So gets himself cleaned up. He's clean shaven on the half of the face that can do that.
Yeah.
And he goes to the press conference essentially, and he's like, okay,
It'd be weird if there was just half of a beard under the other side.
right? Yeah, there's nothing growing there anymore.
Yeah, I don't think there's any hair.
That's
yeah.
just it's a wasteland on that side. Basically, he's like, just keep your cool out there. These guys are like gonna try to run with their narrative, but like you just tell them how it is, and like we'll get through this, and it'll be totally fine. And then he sees his like aide Wilkes here go like, make them afraid, Harvey.
Oh.
And he's like, what? And he's like, I said not to make them wait.
Oh, God. He's losing
So
it.
he's seeing shit.
Yeah. The fact is, I think the doctor dude mentions the fact that he was hit by a toxic chemical, which may have caused some brain damage.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's more than just psychologically.
It's more than
lost
meets
his
the
mind.
eye,
It's
you
like-
might say. Harley's thinking about how, like, literally all the study has gotten for her is, like, sleeplessness and alcohol addiction. And it's just not a good time for her. She throws on the TV. The press conference is going on.
She throws on the TV. It's just more replays of Harvey's skin
It's just
melting
that's all
off.
they have. That's like they ran out of
Like
news.
super slow motion.
Everyone's actually in Arkham right now, so there really isn't much going on. He starts going into like his listen, like this is what happened. This is why Maroney did it, and like I never was working with the Maroneys. Like I didn't realize what the money was really for. Whatever.
They tricked me.
Yeah, I thought it was like a campaign donation.
Yeah, Right.
Not a campaign donation.
Some dude's like, what about the executioners? How do you feel about those? And he's like, those officers crossed the line.
Show us your scars.
Yeah, right.
We want to see your scar.
Take it off.
Oh, God. Do you have beads?
Da-da-da-da. As he's like talking about the officers, like he has one of those like flashes, and then all of a sudden his voice balloon gets a little scratchy,
Yeah.
and he's like, "Those guys are damn heroes."
Oh boy.
He talks about it like that like the fact is it's like the crime is like a cancer in Gotham, and like
a cancer.
a cancer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a good week for it.
It's like poetry. It rhymes. The fact that like Killer Croc and Poison Ivy and the Joker, they're all remorseless killers and like they're cold and uncaring and blah 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 blah.
Mm-hmm. His what he was saying before, but like more unhinged.
Yeah.
Put the bandages back on!
Yeah. Oh my God.
Oh,
we were wrong.
I thought I wanted to see it, but actually I don't.
I can't not see it now. Why? So
Did they even do any surgery on you? It looks just as bad as it did the day it happened.
yeah, it's like all they did was give you a new suit. Is that what they did?
No, he'll be fine. Look, he's going back into the workforce. Oh, God.
Oh no. Oh, okay.
Not into the children's ward!
Harleen is like, doesn't even care. She's like, normally I'd be really upset with what I was seeing, but the fact is, she's like, I've just had enough. I've had enough of it all.
I like how unfazed she is by watching this. She's just like,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
I like the art here.
Well,
It's
I
like-
was right.
It's like he's screaming right at him. He's on the other side of the TV, but
Yeah.
like it's
That's how the news feels sometimes. So like she like thinks about what he's saying, like, yeah, like they're cold and uncaring, and she's like, uncaring. And she grabs the note. She has a spark of inspiration about the Joker. And she's like, wait a minute. Like
if
everyone
I can get him to care.
Well, she's like, everyone assumed he's incapable of emotions, but there's one question no one ever asked him. I didn't ask him, they didn't ask him. That's messed up.
What is your favorite color?
What is it?
I'm gonna crack this thing wide open.
I'm gonna get one of those paper fortune tellers. Here we go. Pick a number.
You are, it says a dreamboat.
They all said dreamboat.
I rigged it.
She has a flashback to her college class with the professor, I believe, that she slept with, and about, like, you know, he asks, like, what the difference between a sociopath, a psychopath, and a narcissist are. And she's
Is this
like,
a joke?
well, he's setting it up for that. And she's like, they're all varying degrees of, like, antisocial behavior. And he's like, wrong. It's how quickly you get tired of dealing with them. He's like, it's a joke my teacher used to say. And he's like, but the fact is, it's like, you have to have, like, the patience to deal with these folk in order to get around to asking them the right questions. And that kind of stuck with her, right? So she realizes that that's the problem. So she has another session with him, and she's like, I only have one question. She's like, did you ever feel remorse for the lives you took? And I'm like, interesting question.
Nobody would have asked that. I feel like somebody would
I
have
think
asked.
they just assumed. They're just
Yeah,
like,
there's
I
no
mean,
point.
You're a lunatic. I mean, look
Right.
at you.
I mean, he's
Literally
laughing
look
and
at
happy
you.
at what he does. It's
Yeah.
not like he ever
It doesn't seem
bad
like you do.
or sad about it.
right? And so then, like, he's like, oh, I thought you might have read my file, and, like, you know, the fact that I'm a heartless, you know, psychopath, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, you know, he goes like, I guess maybe the first victim of, like, the streets of Gotham is empathy. She's like, what?
Uh-oh.
You piqued my interest, even though that was a really cliche line.
Yeah, and also, you know, remember what he read.
Oh, yeah!
Yeah.
So he just takes her on a little journey. He says
boy.
all the right things.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Yeah, and she's like, I couldn't believe my ears, but I had to play this carefully. I had to be smart about this, right? And like we see this like imagery of like her as like Little Red Riding Hood and like this like version of the wolf that looks like him. And I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
That is cool.
She's like, but how did it start? Like, tell me. You have to tell me like what your origin is, right?
I want to know your origin story.
Just give it to me. And inevitably, like he like skirts that and then just goes like, how often do you watch me sleep?
What?
And in that moment, she feels the roles have reversed, and she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh no!" And she's like, "Listen, I did it one time, just one time. I noticed your scars, and I just was like, you know,
What's up with those
what's
scars?
up with that?
Do they make little ha's?
Ha ha ha! If I connect them, and
Right. I'm not playing your game. You need to answer my question.
yeah. But like, he's like, look, at the end of the day, you don't honestly care. Like, you're pretending like you care, but the fact is, you're just here to write a book or a thesis or whatever. Like, at least the cops, they suck, but they're honest. Like, they call me a monster because I am one.
And you're just like all the other psychiatrists before who like wanted to get famous
Yeah, and
off
she's
of
like,
me.
I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I'll show you. She gets up, she unplugs the camera from the room, she goes behind him, and she undoes his straitjacket.
What? Oh no.
And she's like, probably wasn't the best move, but like there was just like this, like that was the like move of desperation that her adrenaline-addled mind decided should happen. Like she was losing his trust in her
Right.
head.
I have
and
to do something
I
dramatic.
have to do something.
Yeah.
So she goes and stands up
How
against.
about offering him a piece of gum?
Nope. Gum?
I don't think he'd take it.
It's spearmint.
If you take
I
it, it means
only
you're weak.
chew blackjack, the licorice gum. I feel like he would.
That's
Oh,
Gross.
thing?
It is.
Oh.
Yeah.
I don't want that.
No. She then goes and faces the wall away from him.
What?
I was playing a dangerous game, like the game of like he loves me not. And like you see her shocked face, his head next to her, thanking her, and then we see an embrace.
Oh, wow.
And she's like, you can call me Harley. And he goes, Harley Quinn, I like that. And I'm like, okay, I'm sure it's all gonna be fine.
Oh, God.
Oh, yeah.
She has this totally in control.
Yeah.
Yeah, she got hugged by the Joker. I'm sure that was a great thing.
She got him
happen.
to trust her.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
It's cool. It's totally
See,
fine.
It worked. I got through to him.
I know what's up.
Yeah.
See? He's fixed.
She has this existential crisis of like, how did I get here? We go over the fact that it's like, I had a bad experience at college because I slept with that guy, which made me pull away from relationships, which meant that I literally didn't date anybody. So she's been like sexually repressed, right? She's always trying to prove herself to everybody because she feels like the world is judging her. She seemingly has an addictive personality based on the fact that how quickly she took to alcohol, right? If you think about earlier on when we saw her like say like, I'm going to be a teacher when she was in school, she's just mimicking the teacher. Like, I'll be what you are.
Right.
I don't know if that's true necessarily, but like I kind of cued in on that.
Yeah. She's like looking to other people as examples.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's a brown noser is what she is.
No. She has another dream about him, but it's different. It's not a monstrous dream. Instead, she's like in Wonderland. And like he's there as like the Cheshire Cat, and then he like, forms and like they hug and whatever. And she's like, to be fair, earlier that day I had a session with the Mad Hatter, so like that kind of leached in too, but like you get the gist of it.
I like that little note.
Yeah, she still has that realization of like, what is wrong with me?
Yeah.
What am I doing? Which is then echoed, of course, by Hugo Strange. Like, you turned the camera off. You can't.
Are you in your friggin' mind?
She's like,
you cannot come back.
No, you're out. No, she totally talks her way through it.
Oh my God.
She's
as soon as you are fired.
Yeah.
Nope. All the reasons.
No, she's like, the fact is, like, I was losing him and I needed to keep that relationship because I'm actually making progress. So the fact is, like, he's completely, like, restrained. Lie.
Right.
But, like, I need to keep those cameras off. Otherwise, he's not going to trust me, but I'm
Right.
actually making a breakthrough here.
Right.
So he's like, fine. I don't care. Like, I didn't hire you. I don't care about you.
Right.
You want to get yourself killed? Go ahead.
not
You
my
have to sign a
problem.
waiver.
Yeah.
You're signing
It says,
a waiver.
I told you not to do this.
Literally,
and you did it anyway.
she has to sign a waiver.
And the other waiver is I'm not cleaning up the mess.
Yeah. The next time we see like Harley is like literally this like really skinny panel of like the Joker like sexily touching her mouth.
Oh.
And he's like, what have you done to me? He's like, anyone who took my straitjacket off, I would have punished them for being so stupid by killing them. Which goes back to him killing that Sam the goon earlier.
Yeah, who wouldn't put the seatbelt on.
Yeah. But he's like, but you, and then he puts her hand on his chest and his heart's beating. And he's like, nobody's done that for me. Like, he's like, I don't understand. Like, he's like, and then she smiles and he's like,
Do you know how many jumping jacks I had to do before you got in the room to make that happen? It was a lot.
he couldn't do a jumping jack. He was restrained. He'd just be jumping up and down.
In my head, I was doing
bouncing.
jumping jacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mentally prepare myself for it. It gets my heart rate going.
But like when he sees her smile, he's like, I knew it would be amazing. I'm so glad I didn't pull that trigger. He's like, your smile is spectacular. So like, she's like, oh, I thought you were out of bullets. He's like, for you, never.
For you, I'm fully
Then there's a knock on the door because
Oh my
Bronson's
God.
coming in, or not a knock
boy.
on the door. He's like, I'm just gonna look. I know that like it's supposed to be fine, but I'm just gonna check on her. And she's like, oh no,
Get your clothes on!
it's dead. She like, shoves the jacket back on him. He's like, don't buckle them all.
What are you doing in there?
Nothing.
Unlock this door!
Hang on. She just buckles the top and the bottom of the straight jacket.
Why does
Oh,
it smell like
God.
regret in here?
Bronson's like, hey, I just want to make sure you're good. She's like, we're fine.
Fine, get out.
It's fine.
Why are your shoes off?
I'm more comfortable analyzing this way. What?
All right.
So
Close.
You're gonna die.
He's like, I just wanted to know, like, if this animal tries anything, you just let me know. And she like jumps on him. He's like, she's like, it's unprofessional if you call them that. You shouldn't call them animals.
I mean, that's true.
or beasts or
Especially
monsters.
when he's right here and
Yeah.
I'm trying to connect with him.
Yeah, and like clearly, I don't know if like he was like interested in a relationship with her as much as he was maybe just interested in a friendship with her. But he's
Yeah.
like, okay, cool, and he leaves.
Yeah, it's like, all right.
And then like Joker's like, that was sexy. He's like, I thought you were like you were like pretty when you smiled, but like when you angry, yeah, I'm all about that. So,
thanks?
Nah.
she puts him back in the restraining jacket. He like, gives a little like kinky, conversation with her. He's like, "You're pretty good at restraining." And he's like, "We should have a safe word. Mine's Batmobile."
Is she even like trying to learn anything from him at this point?
Well,
Or she just
inevitably,
likes talking to him now.
So like, Bronson apologizes. He's like, "I shouldn't have done that. I just wanted to make sure you're okay." And like, he's like, "It won't happen again." And she's like, "Thanks, I appreciate that."
Okay. She's not like, good, it better not.
Yeah, and he's
fuck
like,
you.
Honestly, you think you can help him? And she's like, "I don't just think it. I know it."
Oh boy.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Oh, I'll help him.
Oh, I'll help him, all right.
He's
Out
going to
of
help
his
me
pants.
too. Going to help each other all night.
We cut to Harvey because, hey, look, we were enjoying attractive-looking people.
Yeah,
Let's go
now
check
let's go
out
look at a
Harvey.
hideous monster.
Is he just...
He's home because, like, they were like, Harvey is taking a extended leave from being the prosecutor.
Yeah.
Because clearly he had a reaction to his painkillers, and
Sure.
that's why the outburst happened.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. There's a knock at the door. He opens the door. There's a cop there.
There's 2 knocks at the door.
There.
One for each side of his face.
Not everything is about his Two-Face.
When have you ever knocked once?
Yeah, what kind of psycho knocks one time?
Yeah, no, that's weird.
There's a cop there. They just like, we just like a bunch of us just wanted to say hi to a real hero, and then they take out their executioner masks and put them on.
Oh, are they gonna kill him, or they just want to?
No, they're like, under your leadership, we could be like the real solution to Gotham.
the final
Did
solution.
they
if you will.
make the masks after his half-burned face?
So I think so because it looks like they're bloody like that.
They came up with that real fast. That was
Real
like the same
fast.
night, right?
Well, I mean, like you could just spray paint that.
Yeah,
you get a
that's
ski
true.
mask, you're like,
yeah,
done.
It's true.
Then you get a minute later.
Oh, and the red half is even the half that got effed up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we got that going for us.
All right.
How
They-
come,
and they
how
got
come the
some-
other side isn't white?
They got some snazzy goggles.
Okay, so these are the first Two-Face goons.
Yeah,
It's like the birth of the
exactly.
Two-Face gang.
Because those are the masks they had on hand.
You ever see a white ski mask? They don't make them like that. You look weird.
It's not. It's creepy. It's
a bad look.
It's not good for anyone.
Is this gonna tie into Harley's story at some point, or is this just we're just also getting a Two-Face origin?
It's kind of a little bit of everything.
Okay.
Harvey is like, listen, like I'm like an officer of the court, like, cause he's still cogent, right? And then Wilkes shows up in his head,
Oh boy.
and he's like, hey, come on, now this guy seems to know what's up. It's
Yeah.
cool.
Hey, he made a mask just like you. He's like
yeah.
a fan.
Hey, remember that plan you had like a while ago? You had that thought, and you're like, oh, we can't do that. Now you can.
What if you could?
Now
do
you
that?
can do that, and you're like, wait, what?
What thought?
What? Don't do that. Don't do that.
I don't think you should do
He
that.
flips.
Was it putting the brownie mix inside the waffle maker? Brilliant idea.
It was not that.
Oh.
Not a bad idea though. Flips the coin. He's like, cool. The cop's like, what's with the coin? And he's like, it helps me distinguish fantasies from realities. Anyway,
Why is it scratched?
Does it?
There was an explosion.
he ends up saying like, we're in. And as he says like, we're in, he gets like gravelly voice again. And the guy's like, we? He's like, I'm in.
Me?
It's me.
Why would I say we? That doesn't make
I
any
said
sense.
me in.
Me in. I talk like that.
Yeah,
Sometimes.
sometimes I get kitty voice. Like,
Me
me
in.
in. Hey!
Shut up. I'll make you look at my ugly face. I'll turn.
Ah,
Oh,
please
geez,
don't.
please turn
Then
the
you
other
can
way.
only look at that. There's nowhere else to look. You can't.
Sir, we made you a mask too.
Yeah, please put this
Please
on.
put it on.
You need to put this on.
So essentially, his plan is what we're gonna do is we're gonna go Blackgate or Arkham, and we're gonna release everybody from it. And they're like, that seems counterproductive to our plan.
that's
And he's
the
like, no. Listen, that will make the people realize the actions that need to be taken. If we unleash horror upon the city, they will recognize that something more final has to happen.
Right. Because they'll
if we-
inevitably just get out.
Like if we
Because
just,
somehow they all just got out.
yes, if they ravage the city,
Yeah.
everyone will agree we should just kill them.
Yeah, well, that'll be the easiest way to deal with the problem.
Yeah, when it
Because there'll be
affects
so many
everybody.
of them, we won't have time to capture them.
Yeah.
all. They'll just have to start killing them.
Do you know
Right.
how many forces it would take to capture this many inmates?
Yeah, Batman can only do so much.
Yeah. What was Batman going to do? Capture all of them before like the police get to them and kill them?
What's Batman gonna do? Have like a series of fights?
Point of order, he could. He has some of the bat. Oh, okay, well, fine. You're flipping the coin. Okay.
Okay. Oh.
It's already been decided. I can't remember what side was what. Hang on, I gotta
What'd I
flip this
say?
again.
Damn it.
Hey, won't a lot of people like die if we do that?
You're gonna lose a few.
Oh, okay. Oh, we're
You-
that
You got to break some eggs to make an omelet.
You got to melt some faces to make an omelet.
I mean, that is true. You do have to break some eggs to make an omelet. He makes a really good point.
Yeah, no, and sometimes they just fall on the floor, and you're like, oh, damn, I'm not cleaning that up.
Oh.
Yeah, you leave those for later.
Also, that happens.
That's right, it does.
Is that also related?
Sometimes you throw them at the walls.
I'm losing the metaphor.
Sometimes you put the egg in the microwave.
And then you make the lemonade.
Oh, God.
And then you put the lotion
Out of
on
eggs?
its skin?
Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
So he flips the tail, and he's like...
I think you're a bad guy.
oh no. He's like, heads is Blackgate, tails is Arkham, that we're going to liberate.
Oh, God. Please pick Blackgate.
Well, we cut to Arkham, so you let me know what you think we're going.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Okay, it landed heads. I still say tails.
Yeah, whatevs. We check in with a Harley Joker session in which it's revealed that the Joker has like a deadened nerve system.
Oh.
That's why Batman can beat the crap out of him. He doesn't really feel it, right? He also is just like, you takes, you got to really get in there, and she like scratches his arm, and he's like, there you go, and she's like
yeah, now you
she's
go,
like,
man.
that's sexy, and I'm like, you might want to also question the fact that when you last saw him being beaten by Batman, he kind of enjoyed it, so that guy's gonna give it a lot more.
Yeah, he can feel something now.
So we see Harley like living her best life. She's talking to a Killer Croc who's just like, you annoy me. She gets Ivy a room with a window. She's like, I thought it might, like, sunlight might help you out. Like, she's doing all kinds of good.
She's helping everybody right now.
I'm helping you photosynthesize.
She's like Snorlax. To your point before, is she actually getting any work done? We see a session where he's like, send a straitjacket off. She's like, I actually want to get some work done today, and you get a little handsy sometimes.
Oh.
We love her in front of Arkham with her cup of coffee. She's like, we're doing great. It's like the poster for Arkham.
Yeah.
Welcome to Arkham.
Or another guard, the one who brought him the folder earlier, Joker the folder, is like, it's creepy that like he's here and blah, 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 and he wants to interrogate him. And she's like, who's here interrogating who? And he's like, Batman. He's interrogating the Joker. She goes storming off.
This is just a normal Batman adventure that...
We don't even see. Yeah. Something else is happening. It might be cool. It doesn't matter because, like, I'd actually rather go on this, like, shame spiral into Harley's, like, becoming Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you get away from my client?
Well, she's like, you're hurting my study here.
Right. You're gonna undo all the progress I just made. Yeah.
Yeah, and like, just because like Commissioner Gordon lets you come and go as you please doesn't mean you get to do that here. And so Batman leaves.
It's like, oh, okay. Let's go.
No one's ever said that to me before.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm gonna think about that.
I mean, now that you mention it, I am not like a medical doctor. So
yeah,
I really actually don't have any business being here.
And I'm like not a cop either.
Yeah.
So like legally speaking,
I really don't have a leg to stand on. Yeah. For all intents and purposes,
I'm a
bat. I have the same
bat.
legal status as a bat.
And then he says something I fully agree with. He's like, "Hey, Dr. Quinzel, if you stare into the abyss long enough," I'm like, yeah, he's definitely like the Joker is the abyss, and eventually he will smile back.
Nice.
So anyway, like Joker's like, that was amazing, you're awesome, and he's like, I'm ready for some therapy, and she's like, I am too, and you're like, uh-oh.
Oh, I don't think
therapy means therapy anymore.
Not the talking kind.
So like,
it's physical therapy.
You see Joker getting ready for his therapy session. They're putting him in the straitjacket. She goes to the bathroom where she has her makeup kit. Harley doesn't really wear makeup. She hasn't worn it since like high school, college. She's been on
So she puts it on like terribly because she doesn't really know what she's doing.
No, she does like the mid. She's gorgeous.
Okay.
She doesn't need it. She's like
implausibly, she is perfect at it, even though she hasn't done it in years.
Yes, exactly. She basically puts on mascara and lipstick. I'll give her that one. But although she doesn't hit her eye with the wand, that one I don't buy. You haven't done that in a while. That's going right in there.
She also wears glasses. How could she see that she's doing it right?
So she's so close to the mirror.
Where am I?
What is happening over here? She's also been on the pill for a couple of weeks now.
Oh.
So,
Hey, at least she's not off of the pill.
Right? As she's putting her lipstick on, she stops. She's like, what am I doing?
Getting laid. It's been a while.
I think she could have her pick.
Yeah.
She could.
She could have
but at the same time,
that guard that likes her.
Yeah. Or anyone.
Or anyone else.
But she has a type.
Right?
The type is crazy.
Or older.
Normally you don't
How about Gordon? No, you know what I'm doing? I want to save him. And that's my job, isn't it? Like, I'm the only one who can help him, and I will help him.
That's not actually your job. You're there to study and learn.
So
You are there to listen.
She hikes up her sexy stockings.
Oh my
You know, the
God.
ones that don't go all the way up?
Oh.
Yeah.
With the garter belts.
Yeah. I don't even think she's got the belt on.
I don't see one.
She thinks about Batman and that, like, she's mad at him because she's like, you know, she doesn't think that anyone can save the Joker, but, like, I can. I'm
By
the one.
fucking him.
Here we go.
We are getting risque in this book.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
it is
it's
Black
by
Label.
it is Black Label. It's
Yeah.
also by Shajik, who, you know, this kind of stuff is like, it's not his bread and butter, but like we get like the heart, and then we get the sexy. So we're gonna see a little bit of something. It's not a whole lot, honestly.
Yeah,
we don't
no,
like. It's very tasteful. It's tastefully done.
It's tasteful, except for this full-page splash where it's just full-on porn.
Yeah, it's just Batman's dick from Batman Damned.
I was going to show it eventually. they censored it there. Here it is.
It's been a year, people. No, because Batman Damned came out September 2018. This is September 2019.
Okay.
So essentially, like, she takes the straitjacket off. She starts taking his clothes off. Her clothes are almost all off. And then we, like, see them together. And she makes a joke about how she wanted to heal his scars, but here she is making her own because, like, how is he going to feel it otherwise?
Oh, and she's like digging.
Yeah,
her
nails right into his back. She goes home. She has great dreams. She's having a good time. She has this moment where, like, she is like, I'm going to save him. And she has, like, a dream, almost a waking dream of, like, offering her hand to him and him grabbing her hand. Is like, he's, like, surrounded by monsters. And it's not just him.
Oh, it wasn't the acid pit.
Yeah,
I was expecting that.
No, she'll save him, and then she could save them all. And I wanted to point that scene out of, like, the hand holding or the hand reaching thing, because earlier in the book, as he's, like, first having his interview with her, there's, like, that sequence that we see of them working together, but the first sequence we see is him taking her hand. And I'm like, okay. Yeah. Anyway, cut to Arkham. Harvey made his choice.
Oh, look, they're all the monsters.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
the same
That's
stuff
the
before.
city of Gotham.
Yeah, they're just trying to pull him down. They don't
Yeah.
want him to be healed.
Right.
They're the ones making
Sexual
his scars.
healing.
Yeah, he's already healed here. He's
Yeah.
not a monster. She
No.
fixed him.
Yeah, look at how
So it's
beautiful
all the
he is,
other
and he's
people that are
naked.
the monsters.
Yeah. She's like a guardian angel. Harvey goes into Arkham with the executioners, and they start waking folk up. The first one they start with is Ivy, because they know Ivy, A, has powers.
Right.
B, they're powers that typically don't get in the way of what they're doing, but
Right.
will cause a lot of damage and mayhem.
Right. And C, she's hot.
And also, she's hot.
And they want to see her go full plant.
Full plan.
Oh, man, I love it when she goes full plant.
So they bring soil. Because they're like, we heard you need that.
Oh.
And so, like, it's fertile soil, and she stands on it, and she's like, cool.
Plants.
Fools.
Plants! They, like, literally release everybody else. They get to the Joker, and they decide to release him. That was the mistake.
Yeah, right?
They
Holy
release
crap.
him, and he's like, oh, aren't you guys trying to, like, kill us? They're like, not tonight. You're going to go wreak havoc.
Right.
Wait a minute, I recognize your voice. You're all cops.
Joker immediately upsets everything. And as they release Killer Croc, he goes, hey, these guys are the executioners. They're here to kill us. Killer Croc's like, nobody's killing me.
No, I do the killing. It's in my name.
It's Killer Croc, not killed Croc.
This dude immediately is like, no! And he, like, gets his arms ripped off.
What'd you think was going to happen, you fucking idiot?
Well, like, it was going pretty well.
Maybe you
Well-
just hit a button and open the doors. You don't go to each cell.
You don't let out
All
Killer
right,
Croc.
here's your
That's
pamphlet.
What you especially don't
This is
do.
what you do.
That's like Joker, Killer Croc. You just don't. Just
Yeah,
leave
okay.
him.
We'll start with Poison Ivy. She's not really
Let's
going to
just
get
see how
in the
that
way.
goes.
And then Killer Croc.
We'll start with Poison Ivy. She's hot.
She's hot.
Yeah.
Hot.
And she mostly cares about plants and stuff. She's not really going to
That's
want to
not
kill us.
really our problem.
And then Killer Croc.
And then and we'll just go right to Killer Croc.
Yeah. Because, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Like,
They let out everyone.
yeah, that was
We only have a
mistake.
certain number of villains in this book, and, well, there we go.
Yeah, well,
We had to
And
release them
well,
all.
there it is.
yeah, and there it is. He completely Wookiees that guy though.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeesh.
Harley's at the late shift. She shows up. GCPD is there. Gordon's there, and he's like, "Get down, doctor." She's
Yeah.
like,
Didn't you turn on the news again?
Yeah, no, she's got a real problem with that. And he's like, okay, so I got a call from Strange. It turns out the executioner showed up. They released all the patients. She's like, did they kill anyone? And he's like, no, actually, they started killing them.
Yeah.
And he's like, so the inmates started taking hostages.
So
And
the inmates are running the asylum.
Right, literally. Oh,
what
by
I'm
the way, as they roll up, as she rolls up, like Gordon's screaming at, I guess, the fire department. It's like, get that hose out of here. If Freeze gets a hold of that, it's over.
Oh, no.
So we're like, Freeze is doing his thing. The inmates have taken hostages. He's like, Batman's fighting Bane.
Yeah, Batman's got his hands full with one guy over
Robin
here.
and Batgirl are here, and they're trying to get the hostages away from Freeze. So Killer Croc's running around. Zaz is someplace. I don't know.
Oh, God.
You should probably go home.
Doctor, is that a riding crop? Why did you bring that to work?
As she's wandering the halls of Arkham, she sees the carnage, and like she's like, okay, so yes, there is a darker side to all of this, and the fact is, like, at least now I know my way around, but so do the inmates.
Yes.
And so, like, she comes across Killer Croc immediately.
Yeah. And he's just eating people.
He's like, oh, it's the annoying doctor. I'm gonna kill you.
Yeah.
And so, like, he chases after her, and as, like, Harley trips, as he's about to get her, a vine reaches out.
Ah.
And is like, Wayland, get out of here. You're done. You can go now.
Huh.
So, like, she, like, literally just flings him out of the asylum. Gordon's
Nice.
like,
Oh God, not the orphanage!
We going back and we look at, like, Harleen and Pammy there, and she's like, you saved me. Like, thank you. And, like, she calls her Isley because she keeps calling her that. And he's like, it's Ivy. And she's like, I haven't saved you yet.
I've corrected you enough.
Yeah, we're done. I haven't saved you yet. You're only truly saved if you leave.
Right. You need to get the
You
fuck
have to
out
make
of
a
here.
choice.
Yeah, like, those who stay are going to die. And it's like, it's partially she's like, there's a lot of villains. But I think part of her is also like, I know.
Yeah, I kind of figured out
I'm
what's going on
gonna kill
here.
a lot of people.
Well, no, it's
no,
like,
it's like-
I think you're in a relationship with Joker.
Yeah, and you need to get
That's
out
a
of
bad idea.
Yeah.
I'm a plant lady, and I know this. Like, part of my, like, whole shtick is
don't think he
I
has your
seduce
best interests
men.
at heart.
Yeah, and I have, like, really bad relationships with people.
Yeah.
And this is a mistake.
Yeah.
This is where we draw the line.
If I'm giving you relationship advice,
You're in
it's
trouble.
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Hang
turn
on.
around.
Hang on, I'm dying.
Help me.
I mean, we're all dying.
It's the slow march of death. Ever onward. Joker runs into the guard who gave him the file. Naturally, he ends up not helping him whatsoever.
Yep.
Like, he's like, I gotta get out of here. And he's like, oh, I know there's a way through the boiler room, but, like, there's one of two like stairwells you can take. One of them Zaz is in, doing his thing.
You're doing his Zaz thing.
His cutting people up
Yep.
thing. He doesn't tell him which way to go.
I gave you the file. Come on.
He goes the wrong way.
Yeah, and I didn't kill you.
Yeah.
That's your
Exactly.
reward.
Harvey runs across a couple of cops. He kills the cops. Harley runs into him. And he's like, you. You wanted to try to rehabilitate these people and not actually just end them.
Right, right. She's like, you're literally letting them go right now.
Yeah, he's like-
yeah, but then I'm going to kill them.
Yeah, and
It's
then we're
part
going to
of
kill
my
them. It's
plan.
fine. This is like, it's a two-step plan.
See, I had a plan.
She's like, you're a good man, blah, 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 blah.
It's like, why are you doing this?
Yeah, essentially.
Have you seen me?
Harvey's darker side comes out, of course, and, like, talks about the fact that, like, 5 years ago, I had this idea, but I couldn't execute it then.
Oh.
But, like, now I can. Now I can do this. And, like, the fact is, it's like, you know, we used to talk about, like, I used to say, like, as part of my slogan that, like, Justice may be blind and, like, she only has one hand because she's holding the scales, but, like, I'm going to give her a mean right hook. But the fact is, the problem is that, like, we need to give her back her sword because she needs to execute some people.
Okay.
So anyway, essentially, we're going to come down to, like, am I going to kill her? Am I not going to kill her? He
Yep,
flips the
he's gonna
coin,
do the coin flip.
and he doesn't like the result. So he's going to
Like,
cheat.
we're going to flip it again.
He's like, best 2 out of 3.
yeah.
Joker shows
The
up.
odds, friend.
Joker shows up and he's like, that's cheating.
Yep.
And she's like, oh, you came. And he's like, actually, you're cheating on me too because you're having like a one-on-one session with this guy right now.
What's
Okay.
I am talking my way out of death.
Yeah.
That's not cheating.
Joker does his whole shtick and he's like, you look familiar, or at least half of you does, as I live and breathe. It's Harvey Dent. So, like, he's going to shoot the Joker now instead.
Yep.
Joker, of course, gets the drop on him and then, like, uses a brick and, like, is like my hairstylist said, let's even you out. She's just wailing on the good side of his face.
Yeah, yeah.
Eventually, Harley stops him. She's like, don't do this.
Right.
Earlier, when, like, Killer Croc, right before, like, he says his, like, you know, the executioners are here to kill us, he says, sorry, Harley, we gave it a try. And I was like, oh, that's weird. Like, he actually might have been, like, kind of trying for
Right.
her, even though, like, he was
He's like,
totally
"Now
playing
I'm
with her.
unleashed, though."
Forget it. I mean, it
Yeah.
all worked out anyway. I got out.
Yeah.
So she's like, well, here's what we're going to do. We'll go outside. You'll surrender. I'll testify that you saved me. You didn't kill these cops, and you saved me from him, and they'll, like, reduce your sentence, and then, like, maybe we could, like, be together.
Right.
Conjugal visits, man.
Yeah, and he's like, she's like, you don't get it. Like, it's not going to make a difference. Like, the executioners are cops, and, like, it's not going to be any different on the outside, and, like, whatever. Regardless, Bronson shows up. And he's like, oh, like, what the hell? Like, Priya, this other dude who also got shot.
Oh, God, yeah.
And he's like, you killed them, looking at the Joker. And she's like, no, it wasn't him. It wasn't him. It was Two-Face. Well, it was Harvey. He wings Joker.
Oh.
And, like, she's, like, pleading, like, just listen to him. Like, don't do it. Like, Harvey's literally right here. And he's like, I don't know who this is. Because, like, he's a monster on one side and his face got beat to shit on the other side.
Right.
And he's like, all right.
This could be anybody.
He's like, she's tending to his wound. And, like, Bronson's, like, starting to put together that, like, clearly she has, like, feelings for this guy, for Joker. He pulls her out of the way, and he's like, forget it. No more. I'm putting an end to this right now. I'm going to end the Joker.
Yeah, he's too dangerous to be kept alive. He's like, no, I need him.
Yeah, he's like, he puts his gun in his face, and he's just like, Joker kind of moves forward, and he's like, give me a reason. Like, he can't just do it.
Right. You gotta like rush me.
Yeah, just do something, anything. Like, just like look like you're gonna do it.
Like, I'm not just gonna kill you.
Yeah.
I want to be able to rationalize it later on.
Yeah.
Right.
Harley grabs I guess one of the other cops' guns or Harvey's gun.
Okay.
And, like, pulls it on him. And, like, admittedly, she, in her, like, reflection on this is like, I had never held a gun. And I didn't know how to. And because I was scared, I held it too tight. And I didn't have trigger control.
Oh.
And the gun went off.
Oh, shit.
And, like, we see all of the warnings that she saw. You probably shouldn't smile. She should have never smiled back at the Joker. And, like, the wrong turn she took. Instead of going with him, she should have, or going to the Joker, she should have gone with him. Ivy was like, just leave.
Right.
You have to leave. And so, like, she just collapses. And, like, she's like, I couldn't let go of the gun, and I couldn't move, and I couldn't do anything. And, like, I didn't, like, she couldn't blink, and she had, like, no, like, consciousness of kind of what was going on around her. And then all of a sudden she starts laughing.
What?
Yep. And, like, she's like, it's just, I thought of something funny, because it's like, I'm a monster just like everyone else in this city, and it doesn't matter how good your intentions are. Like, look at me and Harvey. And she takes his blood, the guy, like, Bronson's blood, and on the wall she writes Harvey, and underneath it she writes Harley, which is basically one letter apart.
Yeah.
And she's like, and so did I, but, like, look at the two of us. We literally both ended up being murderers. And then she smears away the rest of it. It's just, ha. She's like, it's just
a couple of ha's.
It's just a big joke. And he's like, and he starts laughing, and then the two of them are just laughing.
They're
you
laughing.
get me.
And they're laughing, and then the credits roll.
They're laughing, and there's blood, and then they start having sex.
Right? Well, they kiss.
In the blood.
And he's like, no, it's cool. Like, we're just getting started, because she thinks her life's over.
Oh.
And, like,
he's like, just look what's happening.
yeah, and
we
she's
don't
like,
have to
and I surrendered
here.
myself. I gave up everything
Yeah.
I am to him in that moment. And, like, like, the fact is, it's like, I thought I was going to fix him, but, like, he changed me.
Yep.
Then we see, like, 3 weeks later, we actually go to the Batcave. Alfred's there. And,
He's
like,
got video of this?
well, that, because the
Yeah,
cameras
the whole
were still
place
going.
is
Because that was
wired for
apparently that was the one thing they had was surveillance while this whole thing was going on. And so they had that. And he's like, Batman finds her file in Joker's room.
Right, he
and he's
knows.
like, he fed her everything. And, like, I am the one who, funded her. I gave her to him.
Yeah.
Alfred, it's another death on my hands.
Yeah, and, like, I went there to, like, talk to the Joker, and she, like, convinced me to leave.
Yep.
And I should have, like, maybe, like, been like, oh, something's wrong here.
Yep.
Yeah.
He manipulated her completely, and, like, all he wanted to do was, like, get out of Arkham, and, like, he used her for that. And, like, so she had to sacrifice himself for her. And, like, Alfred's like, if I may, honestly, when you look at that kiss, there is some, like, real feeling on both parts.
Yeah.
Master Bruce,
He actually
I've
does
seen
like
a
her.
lot of kisses on a screen, and that one looks...
I know something about kissing.
Bruce, I know you don't kiss a lot of folk,
Yeah, it doesn't look like he's faking
but,
it.
like, I have.
I was a Mac Daddy.
He's like, this is my thing, actually. I'm a voyeur. I like watching people kiss. It's how I get off.
I can tell when it's genuine and when it's not.
And when it's not, trust me.
This is hot.
I gotta go upstairs.
I'm
going to the broom closet.
making some tea.
You know what that
The
means.
kettle is whistling.
So essentially, he's like, do you think that, like, the Joker's in love? And, like, Alfred's like, maybe not that, but they're crazy for each other.
I see what you did there.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
I want him to just be like, Alfred, that was good.
But no, we gotta go find him.
Yeah, but, like, Alfred's also like, yes, you funded her journey, and, like, maybe that was the start of it, but she took those turns on her own. She made this, she's a big girl.
There's no way you could have known.
Yeah.
Also. I mean, I guess you could have, paid a little more attention to her research and how it was progressing and how she wasn't getting any results and maybe ask some questions.
Right,
but other than that, there was nothing you could have done.
There's really nothing you do. Maybe she's not so far gone, and, like, maybe she just, like, needs you to be a beacon for her because she's just lost, and she'll find her way back. So, like, we allude to, like, the bat signal, of course, right? And, like, it's like 4 years later that she's telling us the story, and she's like, things are a little fuzzier.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah. It feels like it's a dream. And, like, and I smile because of that, because, like, I'm in his world and I love him, and even the darkest night must end, right? At some point. And, like, we see this image of her, like, going through, like, an amusement park, but the idea that, like, it's almost like a fun house with the funhouse mirrors, and, like, Harleen is trapped inside.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's super cool.
Yeah, like she's in there and Harley Quinn has like locked her away.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is technically
Oh, that's it.
volume
I just
1.
realized that's the end of the story.
Well, no, it is and it isn't. Because
Oh.
he always intended on this being a 3-volume story. This being like Harleen's origin, the next one focusing on the Joker and Harley, like the Bonnie and Clyde years, and the third one being the Pamela Isley and Harley Quinn adventures,
okay.
the Thelma and Louise, she's left the Joker.
Right. Okay.
He wanted to also have
That'd be fun.
spotlights on like Poison Ivy with a book named Isley, which is actually the one that was supposed to come out right after this, because of the fact that it like will hit plot points that we'll see later on, so we need to establish those.
Yeah.
He maybe wanted to do a Selena Kyle book, and then maybe do a Gotham City Sirens book. However,
none of that happened.
well, Isley's supposedly still in the works.
Okay.
Now, a lot of folk might be like, it's probably because of DC. They said no, they didn't like the sales on it, blah, blah, blah. Now, actually, DC's all on board.
Okay.
Shayek actually makes more money from his independent works.
Oh. So he doesn't have a lot of incentive.
He doesn't have a lot of incentive, and honestly, the dude doesn't have a lot of time. He's like, was working on like 4 different projects. Like, he's always booked. I believe he also has some chronic health issues, and like he's the kind of person who like just works and works and works and works and works and ignores his health, and then it's like all of a sudden like, oh my gosh.
Oh God, I'm dying.
Yeah, and so like then has to deal with that.
Yeah.
And so it's like he has to consider for himself what stories he wants to tell that will have like the most impact.
Okay.
So if you want the next one, you better tell him this is going to make an impact. This
Yeah.
is going to make an impact on me because I want the Isley story.
And the Harley Allison story.
I really want the Isley one. I like this story a lot. I really do, and I would love to read the rest of it. But
Yeah,
Pam
I'm
is
more
my,
of an,
Pam's my girl.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love her. Give it to me. Give it to me fast enough.
And on the next one, you can cover yourself in vines.
Ooh. I won't do that.
No, she'd dress however Ivy was before.
Yeah,
What was she before?
She was she's a doctor as well.
Oh.
So this but green
Botanist or
shirt.
Doctor
something.
of plants. The plant doctor.
That's a botanist.
Oh. Right.
I'm a plant doctor. I help sick plants.
You know what I didn't mention was how this actually came to be. This wasn't one of those like, we need a Harley book now.
Right.
This was like his publicist was like, hey, I want you to make a pitch to Vertigo. R.I.P. Vertigo. When Vertigo was a thing still.
Right.
And he's like, I don't have a Vertigo pitch, but I have a Harley Quinn pitch.
Ah.
So they wrote the pitch up, sent it off, and like tumbleweeds. They didn't get any feedback on it.
Oh, so
wow.
it's like normal.
Yeah, so then what he did was he laid out a few of the pages, like the first conversation the two of them have, and he's like, attach that to it.
Yeah.
And like the next day they got back to him.
They're like, oh, okay, no, this looks really cool.
Oh, you have a story for us? Yeah, everyone's got a story.
Yeah.
Okay, what about these?
I mean, to be fair, the pitch for this would just be like, yeah. It's the origin of Harley Quinn. I've heard a million times.
Right, and yet Harley has become one of the pillars of DC.
Right.
So
Yeah, but they probably get a million pitches for Harley books. Like,
Yeah.
you need to be able to like like yeah,
Just really like hammer it home.
Some of these panels are just amazing.
They're amazing.
Yeah.
Like he's got his own style, you know, which has developed over the years. He really developed it when he was doing Sunspot. So, you know, this is the style I'm used to seeing. I went back and looked at some of his previous work, like on Witchblade and stuff like that. Very different stuff. He was originally like influenced by like Mark Silvestri and like, you know, Alex Ross. But he found that like as an artist, he's like, when you're influenced by an artist or like by other artists, you lose yourself. Which I was like, oh, it's funny. Like, yeah, you know, this idea.
You get influenced by other things.
Yeah. But like, he doesn't also like pretend like this relationship isn't unhealthy.
Right.
Like,
right.
he's doing his best though to like have you relate to her at times. And like the idea is that like, well, this is from her perspective. So
And
it's like
looking back on it too.
yeah, so it's like her journey and like she's the one who's in the midst of it. And while we might see the cracks and the faults in the relationship and the problem, sometimes when you're part of something like that, you can't see it.
Yeah.
And especially if she has like no friends,
Yeah.
no one's going to be there to be like,
Right.
no, stop. The closest she came was
Bronson.
Ivy. I was going to say Ivy, who's like, if I'm not the one giving you the hormone palpitations there,
Right.
I think I know who it is.
It's Killer Croc, isn't it?
It is. It's so him. It's Waylon 100%. Sexy alligator
teeth.
man. It's some scales. It's textures. She's all about textures. If the other two come out, it'll be a solid story.
Yeah.
But each of them can be read on their own as a complete story.
Yeah, this is
and
a
that
complete
is.
story. Yeah.
Like, this is a complete story, and like it does make you want more, but it's not like it like ends on a cliffhanger. You know,
Right.
it's like here's her story, and like it's so well written. And the art is paired so perfectly with it. Like I said, he really values the idea of knowing what his characters are saying so that they can react. And you see that throughout. Like these characters have like really like detailed expressions and like really just great like moments of like, what? Like, or like, ooh, kind of stuff. You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You were looking at it.
Yeah, like the disgusted face of frown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's also like,
They also look very like everyone's unique. Like,
yes.
the faces are all distinct, but also look like real people.
Yeah.
Or like you know the sort of like real face that face is. An
there's
approximation
something
of.
brilliant about his art style because obviously it's digital and like there's a painterly quality about it. Like you'll get these really detailed like faces that are like, you know, rendered beautifully, but then there's also like a sketchiness to his line work. I love it. Like there's just this really cool like dichotomy between the two, and like you never know what you're going to get from it. And honestly, I've read this digitally and I've read it physically. I love the digital experience. This is better physical. 100% this is better physical. I mean, some of the things you can't see quite so up close, but the panel layouts are better to see as like a whole, like, and you don't always get that experience from the digital experience.
Right.
We will put a link in the description so that you can get a copy of this. Again, you don't have to know anything
And you can buy two.
about this. You could buy two, and then
You
maybe,
could buy two.
and then maybe we get
keep requesting.
or like you know be like, wow, I really love this book and would love to see what you're going to do on Isley.
He needs the green
better
light.
be. Oh.
I'm sorry.
This was going really well, Ben. I was really having a nice time.
Yeah. Until you showed up.
This is better now. This is all better.
We need to make that a recurring thing. When Ben goes too far,
You get
Bonk
the Ben
the
bonk.
you get the bonk.
You get the bonk, Ben. That's gonna happen.